Hey, everybody. Happy day after election day. Oh my God. Hope you guys enjoyed last night's festivities. It was a lot of fun being with you guys. Even though it might be resolved, some of it's like partially resolved. There's like this crazy thing. The stream last night keeps getting hit with like fraudulent copyright claims. There's all these weird foreign sites like not Canadian, French sites, Albanian sites, Japanese YouTube channels that keep claiming the end of the stream. So I think it's still up currently, even though it's being claimed and disputed right now. We're going to probably have to cut off as soon as we started to play the visuals from Trump's victory speech. That's when all the fraudulent copyright claims started to jump down our throat.
Yeah,
But
sucks,
anyway,
but
yeah.
we'll figure it out. We'll fix it.
But
I
anyway, more
uploaded
importantly,
the I uploaded Anna's talk in the very beginning though, so that's good to go.
great.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing a couple of things today. We're going to be, first of all, we're waiting for Kamala Harris's concession speech. It's supposed to come sometime soon. We'll jump to that as soon as that starts. But I was really interested in today looking at what exactly the takeaway will be from the election loss from the left and from the Democrats. Will this be sort of the Hassan Piker, we got to go more woke, we got to go more socialist, that's obviously why we lost, we didn't go left wing enough? Or will it be sort of a reassessment and saying, was it wokeness that made the Democrats lose? Was it the economy that made Democrats lose? Because the thing that's kind of annoying about all this, and actually, Stephen Michael Davis, friend of the channel, has a beautiful tweet that perfectly encapsulates this. I don't know if you saw this, Adam.
I
And
did not.
he tweeted this yesterday, or I'm sorry, he tweeted this the day before the election. He said, "Tomorrow's election day. Remember, the candidate who loses lost because they did not appeal to my sensibilities enough, whereas the candidate who wins won precisely because of the areas in which they appealed to my sensibilities."
Right.
Okay. So right now, there's not enough information to really make a clear 100% determination about why Harris lost. Anyone, making these grand pronouncements, they don't know what they're talking about, because there's two questions, and the second question kind of breaks in half. The first question is, when you look at all the data, did Harris lose because not enough people that are Democrat voters showed up to vote for her, or because there were some people that flipped the Trump? That's number one. And then number two, if it wasn't, because obviously if people flip the Trump, then that would show, okay, well, obviously she needed to be more moderate or need to be appealing to those people. So the whole like Hassan Piker insanity nonsense is completely wrong. If if that's not the case, if it's that people stayed home, if Trump was just able to pull out more of his base and too much of the Democrat base just didn't show up, then that splits into two questions of why didn't they show up? Did they not show up because they're like, ew, I don't like Israel, I don't like the Democrats' position on Israel and Gaza, or I don't, like that Kamala Harris said that she's gonna, be strong on the border? Is it actually the Hassan Piker dream of them not being left wing enough, or is it that a lot of Democrats just kind of felt like they didn't really have a party anymore? They couldn't recognize the party. They felt that the party was too involved with bullshit culture war issues and didn't really care about the working class, didn't really care about the middle class. And they felt like they just didn't really have anyone to vote for. And before we really know the answers to these questions, all the pundits kind of making these pronouncements about it, one or the other, are kind of just drawing things out of the air. These are not real assessments, they're kind of vibes, essentially.
It could be more than one thing, obviously. I
Of
think
course. Of course.
people want to nail it down to some sort of single factor
Right,
analysis,
that's a good point. That's a great point. Yeah.
which is just human nature to want to completely simplify it. But it could be 20 different things for each demographic. I don't know.
Of
So,
course. That's a great
yeah.
point. But so putting all that aside, so that's 100% true. So if a bunch of pundits, if you're listening to a bunch of pundits and they're saying, this is why Harris lost, I know with 100% certainty, like the next day, like just that's all bullshit. But putting that all aside, what is important to me, isn't even really the objective fact of why Kamala Harris lost or why Trump won. What's important to me is the perception. How does the media landscape in America perceive the loss? That's even more important. And
Yeah,
so are
because
they
that's how
going
they're going to react. Yeah.
exactly? So because the question that I posed before the election is, okay, if Trump wins, what does this mean for wokeness in the country? Is the left and the mainstream media going to like hypercharge wokeness as a response to Trump because they thought it worked against him in 2016 and because they think it explains why he won? Or are they going to maybe say, okay, maybe calling half the country racist, bigoted Nazis isn't a good strategy? Maybe we, the Democrat Party or the left, need to find a new way. And so I was looking. Well, listen, before you make your pronouncement, okay? I was going through, like, all before we got on the stream, I was going through all the MSNBC clips that they uploaded to YouTube.
Right.
And even though it is the morning shows and the afternoon shows, which are more center leaning than the night shows, so we'll see what happens tonight. I was surprised pleasantly at the amount of people who were pushing back and saying maybe it was wokeness that cost wokeness and immigration that cost Kamala the election.
Right.
And that's a great sign. These are great
that is
signs.
good. We'll see if they last or if they get shouted down by the people who are giving into their own delusion. Like there's a certain narrative that people want to propagate. The people are kind of trapped in, really. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right. We don't. Yeah, because obviously the people who are trapped in that space will continue to push that space because that's what they make their money off of. That's what they grift off of. And some people are just delusional. Like, I don't want to. I know there's a lot of like salt mining, which is fun, obviously to an extent. I don't want to dig too.
That's what we're gonna do, right? That's what this stream's about.
That's not what this stream is
about. Oh shit! I came into the wrong stream.
You came into the wrong stream.
I thought we were gonna make fun of all the people who've been browbeating me for weeks.
We can listen. Maybe we can do that later. Okay.
Look, browbeating is not an effective electoral strategy. No. That's my takeaway.
You're correct. You're correct. So I don't want to do like 100% salt mining, at least not today. Adam, if you want to do salt mining tomorrow, you can get a bunch of clips or whatever. But I will say, because I was listening to all these people's reactions to the election, and one of them that jumped out to me was the majority report, and Emma Vigeland starts crying.
Did she?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And the reason she's
you know why they call it salt mining, Sitch?
Because of the tears.
Because of the salty tears.
Yeah. But the reason that she's crying is because she's a true believer. She honestly thinks, she buys into her propaganda. That's why I bring it up, not just to like rub in her face.
No, they're caught in a delusion. Yeah, that's exactly right.
She thinks the reason she was crying is she's like, oh my God, like America's choosing fascism. Like that's her worldview.
They buy their propaganda. They believe they're straw man.
Yes. It's crazy.
See, that's what's so silly. If they could just understand. But there's nothing to be gained by actually understanding. It's very sad. Just personal growth, that's it. Not a lot of cash. Most people are running around in the delusion anyway. Just cater to those delusional people. So
right. Okay, so while we're waiting for Harris to come out, she doesn't come out yet.
Well, she could come out any minute. So
right, we'll just stop whenever she comes out, and we'll switch over to that. But so here's this clip. This is Chris Matthews from this morning here talking about this. This is a very interesting clip. Oh, do you have the sound back on the watch?
Oh, I guess I should turn it up.
Yeah, because we turned it off because of the music from the Harris event.
All right, it's good to go.
What happened?
Well, several months ago, maybe a year ago, I began to study the 50 counties in the middle, the ones that James Carville calls Alabama and Pennsylvania, between Pittsburgh and Philly. And in every one of those counties, it seems that the Trump vote between 16 and 20 had gone up into the 70s. And now and I assumed it was going to continue in that progression. The red states, the red counties were going to get redder and redder. And therefore, he was going to do better in those areas and maybe enough to overcome the suburbs. And he did. He did. And I think that's it. And it's all about immigration and the economy. But immigration has been a terrible decision for Democrats. I don't know who they think they were playing to when they let millions of people come cruising through the border at their own will. Because of their own decisions, they came running through that border, and they didn't do a thing about it. And a lot of people are very angry about that. Working people especially, they feel that they've been betrayed. They feel that their country has been given away, and they don't like it. And I don't.
Also, do you hear? Oh my God, do you hear that whoever's like on staff at the MSNBC is like breathing heavily into the mic and shuffling papers? And You know, it's like really obnoxious stuff. Jeez.
They're all temp because they all quit. They're like, oh my God,
There you go.
Armageddon is here. We have to quit MSNBC. You know, so many people probably called out on a mental health day.
Probably.
It's like a temp worker there.
Right. But no, I
But
mean,
no,
this is
this
very
is
interesting.
great.
Chris
Yeah.
Matthews, obviously, you know, an older gentleman, you know, who used to be like the center, the state, not the not the center like politically, but like the pillar of MSNBC's commentary back when he was on air. You know, hardballer Chris Matthews, and he's like, "What the fuck are you? What the hell are the Democrats doing?"
Yeah. Well, you're racist if you do anything about it. Like they kind of box themselves into a corner, right?
Right. I'm curious if you're going to see this divide split between like the older pundits and then the younger pundits. Because it seems more likely the younger pundits are going to believe in all like the woke stuff. We weren't woke enough. That's why we lost.
Who liked it? The Hispanics apparently didn't like it. They want the law enforced. And so I'm not sure they were playing to anything that was smart here in terms of an open border. And that's what it is, an open border. And I think it's a bad decision. I hope they learn from it. The economy, I think you can talk all you want about rates of inflation going down. What people do is they remember what the price of something was, whether it's gas or anything or cream cheese or anything else, and they'll say, I can remember when it was $2, now it's $7. And they remember it in the last 5 years. That's how people think. Democrats don't know how people think anymore. They think.
Isn't that wonderful?
So true.
So beautiful. Yeah.
That's exactly right. $8 for a stick of butter? What the hell?
It's on track to now.
So yeah, and you know, when we're looking, some of the people that I saw that are analyzing the polling data afterwards and the exit polls and stuff like that, you know, you saw there was this very large gender gap, which was anticipated. There was a large Hispanic gap, which a lot of people are talking about now. Is why was there a big shift? Even though Harris was able to keep a lot of the Hispanic vote, there was still a pretty big shift away from Biden and away from Obama. And then also just a lot of people, it seemed like in a lot of these exit polls were just primarily concerned again with the economy. And that's kind of the other thing that we have to keep in mind is that, you know, we obviously hear in the other internet talk shows, there's a lot of focus on culture war issues, which I think are very, very important. Don't get me wrong. But it's always just very possible that people are just like, you know, I don't like that things cost more, so I'm going to vote against whoever's in office at the moment.
Yeah, it's a very simple calculus. That's why I'm always saying you don't have to be some genius to vote. You know, they make it seem like you've got to understand policy to the nth degree to a lot of people who want to constrict the vote. They're thinking, look, you're understanding how policy is made.
Right.
I don't look at voting like that. I look at it like every single person. It's like they're doing a survey of their situation and they're saying, am I better off now or am I worse off now? And they're giving that feedback via elections. If you don't have any sort of feedback mechanism, you can't improve. Very simple.
And it's good because almost every MSNBC show and CNN clip I've listened to, there's people on the panel that keep saying the Democrats have a communication problem and a listening problem. They're not listening to what people are saying.
Oh, yeah.
And so, so this is all like, in terms of my perception of trying to get people to realize that identity, this toxic far left identity politics is this dead end of destruction. We're at least, I feel confident that we're maybe heading in the right direction. We'll see. Things could obviously veer off wildly, you know, once Trump becomes president. But for the day after, I'm feeling pretty optimistic.
This is their bias towards the manufacturing consent model, which is basically just advertising. But they think the advertising can be used to some infinite degree, which it just can't. Sooner or later, you got to be selling a tangible product that people want, right? And Kamala Harris is a perfect example of that. Her whole entire campaign was just hype. There was no there. It was all fluff. It was all advertising.
Right.
Yeah, there was no product. Everyone looked like and tried to examine, you know, what am I getting here? What exactly am I getting for this vote? Yeah. And the smart people were like, I don't know. Nothing, really.
They're getting not Donald Trump, which wasn't enough, obviously.
Yeah.
Were knocked on in just the final weekend before this election. So what went wrong with the Harris campaign?
Well, Jose, you know, you and I have been on the air together quite a bit, and I have been saying for a long time that it always gets down to money and the economy.
You have.
I very much like what she had to say because she's listening. I suffered a tremendous defeat when I was first governor on a referendum. I mean, I got absolutely crushed. And that night, I remember saying to the media, they were right, I was wrong. We have to listen to what people have to say, and the economic challenges out there, plus the fact that I think, honestly, I think the Democratic Party, that the tails wag the dog, the progressiveness. People don't want it. They want simple little things, and they don't want to have things shoved down their throat with change that happens too much. For example, you know, the gender issue about boys playing, you know, basketball with girls or whatever. People are like, I've had it with political correctness. I'm not doing well economically. That's what I want the focus to be, and I don't want all this other stuff. And I think Democrats, rather than getting into finger pointing and forming a,
There'll be time for
yeah, there'll be plenty of time for that. But they need to listen. What is it that the people have said? If you don't listen, you're going to lose.
You know,
That's so funny.
Beautiful.
Yeah, totally.
Beautiful. Wonderful. Oh my
So
God.
many of the Democrats were like, trans women in sports, it's a non-issue, right? It doesn't affect anybody. And I'm like, what are you, crazy? 50% of the population is women. It affects them. What are you talking about?
Right, right.
You can only think of it from the trans woman that it affects. They're the only ones being affected by this. What are you, like, you're bonkers.
Well, and it's interesting too, because someone points out, and I have a clip of it we're going to watch, is it's not like, you know, when we hear the internet pundits on the far left talk about this, they say, oh, it's this tiny percentage of people. Yeah, as you were saying, it's this tiny percentage of people. And it's not even about the number of people it affects. It's about what the thing represents as a whole.
Yes.
And if people, you know, they turn on the TV, they hear the news, there's all this focus on these gender issues that seem crazy to them, that seem insane to them. It doesn't matter how little of, you know, percentage of people even affects, even though I don't buy it. It does affect a lot more people than they say. Even if it only did affect, theoretically, this small amount of people, it wouldn't matter if people hear it all the time. And then in their mind, it represents something. It creates a mental map in their mind of how they view the world. It kind of goes back to, you know, sort of the Jordan Petersonian, that we all have these mental maps of that are built around symbols and themes of how we sort of navigate through the world. And if people are navigating through the world and they see the Democratic Party as representative of the party that doesn't even know what the fuck the difference between a man and a woman is, and, you know, doesn't even have a clear answer about whether, you know, people that were born male should participate in women's sports, it doesn't matter if that only affects a tiny number of people. It's that represents a symbol, an idea, a theme, a vibe of what the Democrat Party is.
Yeah, totally. Makes them seem insane.
Yeah. Okay, here, let me put in this other clip. Oh, on the Kamala Harris feed while we're waiting, a squirrel just ran across the stage. Obviously, this is a sign
Right.
that the death of Peanut is what cost Harris the election.
Oh, yeah.
But I want to start with you.
Oh, no. It's all MSNBC. My God.
Well, that's the thing. I want to see, like, what, because if MSNBC is accepting this, then, like, and they're like the most far left mainstream news outlet.
Right.
So this is
the MAGA party. What I learned in that period of time was the American people will always tell you what they want. You just better listen to them.
But what do you think the American people are telling us they want?
They don't like the whole they don't like the whole thing, the impression that their kids are being put through some type of, you know, deprogramming or reprogramming, imagined or real. They think the economy is not their friend. They blame Joe Biden for this economy, right? No, for their personal economy. They're frustrated with, and you talked, Jim, you hit on the cultural piece, as did my friend here, Tim. The cultural piece is a huge piece for the American people. And what we learned tonight, it's not just the folks who live in the rural parts of in the country, in the backwoods. It's people who live right over here off of Park Avenue. The people who live off of Pennsylvania Avenue in D.C. And the reality of it is, I think for our political system, because I'm going to set aside the MAGA piece for a while because
I was going to kind of go off on a tangent here, but I was looking at Steve Kornacki and he was going through the numbers in Pennsylvania, and he was talking about how in like those key blue districts that Harris needed in Pennsylvania, you could see that Trump is able to just either pull away like every year, or the Republicans, I should say, every year, are like pulling away from the Democrat voting base in these like very blue, solid blue areas, or they're not turning out because they're just not happy with the direction the Democrat Party's been going for the last 8 to 12 years.
There was 15 million less votes than in the last election. So
Right. Well, part of that, I haven't seen numbers on this yet, but I assume part of that is just obvious also because that was during COVID. So there was like a massive amount of ability for people to do mail-in voting, and voting was just easier. And obviously, if they're now voting is more difficult because a lot of the states, I believe, pulled back on mail-in voting after COVID was over. There's going to be a large percentage of the population that is just, too apathetic to get out there and vote.
right.
So Gene Robinson, yeah.
And that kind of plays directly into sort of like the left-wing thought process of the left kind of operates on this idea that if they could get all the lazy or apathetic voters, that they would vote for Democrat. And the 2020 shift from now kind of shows that to be the case. If that big lack of mail-in ballots and things or access to mail-in ballots shows this like a much more lax turnout for Harris, because it shows you that, yes, the Democrats were correct. Like, if they could make it super easy for some people to vote, they'll vote Democrat. But those people, they're not going to get off their butts and go vote if they have to, get out to a polling place or sign up for a mail-in ballot or something.
Yeah, they mailed out ballots to people, whether they asked for them or not. So
Right. Okay, here, let me go to Harris still isn't out yet.
yeah,
Taking her time.
of course.
So I know
she's
she
gotta be
did.
fashionably late.
She did. It has been reported that she has called Donald Trump and conceded already.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But we want to see what this speech is going to be, right?
Yes.
Running up margins where they didn't previously. At the end of the day, the economy, inflation, it affects everyone's lives. You're paying double for food. Biden is unpopular, and she didn't separate from Joe Biden early enough, and she did it tepidly when the time came. And while that's honorable as a personal trait, she had to be more ruthless at the end of the day in separating because Biden is unpopular.
They keep showing this chart on the screen here. If you're just listening, it's the NBC exit polls for nationwide. Most important issues: 35% said the state of democracy, 31% said the economy, 14% said abortion, 11% said immigration, 4% said foreign policy. And a lot of people were looking at the polling incorrectly because they looked at the state of democracy and they assumed those were all Democrat voters because it was the Democrats that were really pushing third democracy. But then when they dived into these exit polling, they actually found out that 35% is split in half between Democrats who think Trump is a threat to democracy and Republicans that think Harris and Biden are a threat to democracy. So it's kind of like that whole state of democracy thing is like a total wash.
Yeah, they're worried about them stealing elections.
Yeah.
Yeah. They should have asked directly, right?
Right.
Election security. Then they'd get those people pulled out.
Because Biden is unpopular. I also think that there is just a cultural element of voting for Trump at this point, of voting against the condescending elites, that supersedes everything. And it is, seen as them against us. He's our guy. Look at how they tried to get him. Look at how he always wins and he fights back. And he built a redemption narrative. And now.
And by the way,
Very true. Here, let me jump ahead. So
America loves a comeback story. They do.
they do. They do. Now I know there has been a lot. Like if you listen to the View's take on the election obviously is like insane.
I know,
There's a
Sonny. That's all racism.
Yeah.
I called that. There's going to be a lot of that.
Oh yeah, and Joy Reid had some, hilarious take that I tweeted. I think I don't know if I tweeted out. So I saw some people were tweeting out about where she was like, "Oh, it's all white people's fault." So you're definitely going to see that, but as long as that's not the dominant narrative, that's what's really important. Oh, hold on. I think.
But they
Harris
built
is coming out now.
Okay.
Let me see.
Hold on. Music down.
Let's turn the music down for a second.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Okay, here she comes. But we can wait till the music's up. Even though I don't think her music is copyrighted or anything.
Let me know when the music ends.
I'll let you know.
Oh, we're getting the repeat.
Oh,
I'm gonna have to back it up a little.
Back up a second.
Yeah, the response is going to be super interesting. I think so many people, I see it a lot as a bottom up process. So it's very difficult to change. If you think of it as the people have the narrative in their heads and they're kind of driving the ship. It's not easy to change that narrative. So even if the elites come out and say, "Oh, this is what happened," and they attempt to change the narrative, that's such a long process. It doesn't happen quickly at all.
Yeah, it's difficult to see how much of it is. Oh, okay, here. Put the sound back on.
Go for it.
Good afternoon.
What accent are we going to get? Because, I mean, she's speaking to all of America, right? It's probably like difficult for her to decide.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So let me say, and I love you back. And I love you back. So let me say, my heart is full today. My heart is full today, full of gratitude for the trust you have placed in me, full of love for our country, and full of resolve. The outcome of this election, what we wanted, not.
Okay, we're going to have to pause for a second because
They keep.
it's skipping for me. Yeah.
I wonder why.
It does. It does when you get close to like the live feed. I'm not
Right.
sure. I think it might be a watch together thing. Here, we'll go back a little bit.
Love for our country and full of resolve. The outcome of this election is not what we wanted, not what we fought for, not what we voted for, but hear me when I say, the light of America's promise will always burn bright.
Oh my God.
As long as we never give up and as long as we keep fighting. To my beloved Doug and our family, I love you so very much. To President Biden and Dr. Biden, thank you for your faith and support. To Governor Walz and the Walz family, I know your service to our nation will continue. And to my extraordinary team, to the volunteers who
one's doing skipping. Jeez. Maybe it's because there's so many people watching the live stream on AP.
Gave so much of themselves to the poll workers and the local election officials. I thank you. I thank you all. Look, I am so proud of the race we ran and the way we ran it. And the way we ran it over the 107 days of this campaign, we have been intentional about building community and building coalitions, bringing people together from every walk of life and background, united by love of country with enthusiasm and joy in our fight for America's future. And we did it with the knowledge that we all have so much more in common than what separates us. Now, I know folks are feeling and experiencing a range of emotions right now. I get it. But we must accept the results of this election. Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition.
The fascist?
And that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power. A fundamental principle of American democracy is that when we lose an election, we accept the results. That principle, as much as any other, distinguishes democracy from monarchy or tyranny. And anyone who seeks the public trust must honor it. At the same time, in our nation, we owe loyalty not to a president or a party, but to the Constitution of the United States. And loyalty to our conscience and to our God. My allegiance to all three is why I am here to say, while I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign. This campaign.
I'm getting skipping too. So. Boo, boo, boo. What do you think, huh?
So
Great
far,
speech,
I think it's
huh?
fine. I think it's fine. I mean, it's not like the most
I'm
exciting
just
speech,
kidding.
obviously, but
I think it's like full of empty platitudes.
it's
The
better than the
fight.
alternative.
The fight for freedom, for opportunity, for fairness, and the dignity of all people. A fight for the ideals at the heart of our nation. The ideals that reflect America at our best. That is a fight I will never give up. I will never give up the fight for a future where Americans can pursue their dreams, ambitions, and aspirations, where the women of America have the freedom to make decisions about their own body and not have their government telling them what to do. We will never give up the fight to protect our schools and our streets from gun violence. And America, we will never give up the fight for our democracy, for the rule of law, for equal justice, and for the sacred idea that every one of us, no matter who we are or where we start out, has certain fundamental rights and freedoms that must be respected. And we will continue to wage this fight in the voting booth, in the courts, and in the public square. And we will also wage it in quieter ways, in how we live our lives, by treating one another with kindness and respect, by looking in the face of a stranger and seeing a neighbor, by always using our strength to lift people up, to fight for the dignity that all people deserve. The fight for our freedom will take hard work, but like I always say, we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work can be joyful work. And the fight for our country is always worth it. It is always worth it. To the young people who are watching, it is, I love you. To the young people who are watching, it is okay to feel sad and disappointed, but please know it's going to be okay. On the campaign, I would often say, when we fight, we win. But here's the thing, Sometimes that doesn't mean we won't win. That doesn't mean we won't win. The important thing is don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. Don't ever stop trying to make the world a better place. You have power. You have power. And don't you ever listen when anyone tells you something is impossible because it has never been done before. You have the capacity to do extraordinary good in the world. And so to everyone who is watching, do not despair. This is not a time to throw up our hands. This is a time to roll up our sleeves. This is a time to organize, to mobilize, and to stay engaged for the sake of freedom and justice and the future that we all know we can build together. Look, many of you know I started out as a prosecutor, and throughout my career, I saw people at some of the worst times in their lives. People who had suffered great harm and great pain, and yet found within themselves the strength and the courage and the resolve to take the stand, to take a stand, to fight for justice, to fight for themselves, to fight for others. So let their courage be our inspiration. Let their determination be our charge. And I'll close with this. There's an adage an historian once called a law of history, true of every society across the ages. The adage is, only when it is dark enough can you see the stars. I know many people feel like we are entering a dark time, but for the benefit of us all, I hope that is not the case. But here's the thing, America, if it is, let us fill the sky with the light of a brilliant, brilliant billion of stars. The light of optimism, of faith, of truth, and service. HU. And may that work guide us, even in the face of setbacks, toward the extraordinary promise of all. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America. I thank you all.
Okay.
Oh my God, I'm gonna throw up, Sitch.
So, listen, totally vapid, totally empty, totally
Beat poetry, man. This belongs in a
right.
coffee shop.
Right. Just completely empty, boring, platitude driven. Exactly what you'd expect, considering that is how I've categorized Kamala Harris's entire campaign. Right.
Yeah. There was one
But
line that stood out to me.
what's that?
She did say, "Let their courage be our inspiration." And I'm like, what courage? Like, what courage did she display in this campaign? Like zero.
The courage to put on a pantsuit and
Yeah,
I
the
don't know.
courage to hide away.
Right, right. No, that's correct. But okay, anyway. So yes, all that's true. 100% true. But but I do like that there was a complete concession, a 100% concession. It was a dig at Donald Trump. That's totally fine. There was a bunch of people on the right who said if the Democrats lost, they're not going to accept the election results. They're going to say fraud. They're going to do everything Donald Trump did, in the last election. None of that's happening. I mean, there are people on Twitter doing that, but I haven't seen any mainstream pundits do that. Kamala Harris is not doing that. So I am happy that this is a complete and total concession and not telling people to freak out and go burn shit down.
Yes. This is why the fascist stuff I perceive as so incredibly short-sighted, because she comes out and says this stuff and it sounds completely fake, she's been calling Donald Trump a fascist for weeks now. So, but I do agree with you that if she came out and continued that rhetoric, like Trump is still a fascist and
Right.
we need to fight against him, yeah, that would not be great. So that's about the only place that I can give her any points, right?
Right.
But I wish we would just like cool our jets on the fascist rhetoric. It's so debilitating for the political process. Yeah. So, but look, more empty platitudes. I wrote down meaningless drivel. Like,
of course.
a pep talk from like the loser. Like, when you're the loser, okay?
Right.
It's a time to be gracious and humble, not to come out and give some pep talk.
Well, I
right?
guess like a pep talk for like all the Democrats who are suicidal.
Well, yeah. Some humility would be good going forward. So, but I doubt
Right.
we'll see it. Yeah.
Okay. So let's go back to the video we're watching here for a second. There's a couple more parts of it I thought were interesting.
So Gene Robinson,
is this going to make a splash? Is Kamala Harris going to be? Is this it? Is this the swan song of Kamala Harris?
Oh yeah, she's out. She's done. She's done.
Right.
I can't wait to see like the tell-all books that are going to come out of the Biden-Harris administration in weeks in terms of how much fighting was going on between them behind the scenes, how much fighting was going on in the Biden campaign for him to drop out. Was there any fighting? What was going on? Because all this stuff is going to start leaking out soon. And then there's going to obviously be the finger pointing. There's going to be some Biden circuit saying, you should have let Biden stay in. He would, even though his polling was like significantly shittier than Harris, somehow he still would have won the election. Like there's going to be all sorts of, finger pointing, and hopefully we'll get to see a side of what, like the inside of what was really going on back there. Cause that's just for our own curiosity's sake.
It's going to be a repeat of all the Hillary Clinton books. Everyone said Hillary Clinton had analysis paralysis. And I think she probably had it times 10. Like, this is why she didn't do anything. When she said courageous, like be inspired by other people's courage, I was like, ha, what the, really? Really?
Well,
she probably perceives what she did as courageous, though.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're gonna learn how much of her terrible performance is her just being an empty suit and how much of it is her just being stupid.
Right.
So probably some combination of both these things. But what exactly is going on inside the Harris mind or the Harris campaign? Because it is kind of an interesting enigma to me.
Aren't they kind of the same thing? Empty suit and not very bright.
Well, no, because stupid is like someone could be dumb and actually, be motivated to try to do something, they're just not successful at it.
Right.
I kind of see the empty suit as more apathetic to the process.
Sad.
Was who she said she was in 2019 when she ran for president.
All right, hold on.
The larger point, which was, I think a lot of voters didn't buy her swing to the middle. They believed she was who she said she was in 2019 when she ran for president. And when she was confronted with all that about the police and this stuff about trans surgeries in prisons and all that, I think a lot of people thought that's her. She swung to the center to win a general election, but we're not buying it. And I will tell you, I live in a relatively rural area outside the city. There was a local race there. And the Republican changed her signs, picking up on this, and every sign said "Save Girls Sports." It was just her name for a long time. And she said, if you read and talk to people around the campaign, she couldn't print enough of those signs. People were driving by saying, I want one of those for my yard. When it was just her name, they said, oh, it's another candidate. I don't even know who she is or what she's running for. Save Girls Sports. And they were all over the place.
Well,
Isn't that telling?
Yeah, it's so stupid every time someone comes on and we argue with them and they tell us, oh, it's just a minuscule number of people. I roll my eyes so hard. It's like, how can you be so stupid?
Yep.
How can you be so stupid?
Because it's in their interest to be stupid.
Oh,
So this is interesting. This is Mika here's reading an op-ed in the Washington Post. Where did Kamala Harris's campaign go wrong?
into a hole on cultural issues and identity.
Go back a second.
Which we call dignity politics, because it makes it more obvious what's going on, right?
Democrats dug themselves into a hole on cultural issues and identity politics. Trump's vicious transgender ad in the closing weeks, she's for they, them, he's for you, was probably the most effective of the cycle. I think that probably landed with a lot of traditionally Democratic voters who feel like the party is consumed with the cultural issues, while the economic issues don't really change.
See, this is that. Thinking of it as dignity politics is great, because that really is, Kamala Harris is fighting for the dignity of transgender criminals. It's like really, like, that just kind of breaks your mind a bit, doesn't it? Like, why do we care about the dignity of criminals? Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah. Which seems to be a constant problem on the left, is that they care too much for the dignity of criminals and not the dignity of law-abiding citizens.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
Yes.
It stems from the sort of view of the system and society being oppressive and bad. So if someone is a criminal, it's like the thought process, which I don't agree with, is that they were just oppressed by society so much that they turned to a life of crime.
Right. Yeah. That's another narrative that we have to utterly destroy.
Right.
People who believe that, we need to laugh at. We need to call them relics of the past. We got to change that meme desperately.
What's been happening on college campuses over the past 4 or 5 years? I have said this on the air, and every time I've said it, people said, oh, you're just saying that because you're a white conservative. No, I'm just saying it because every Democrat that we have ever sat down with dinner with over the past 5 years who have kids that go to colleges say their kids are afraid to speak in class because they'll be canceled. Let me say that again. And they're all Democrats. Everybody that we've had dinner with, if they have a kid in college, you go, how are the Red Sox going? Yeah, fine. Yeah. Sitting there eating. Beautiful day today, wasn't it? Yeah. My daughter at University of Virginia, she's afraid to raise her hand in class because if she says something that's politically incorrect, she will immediately be canceled. She'll be shunned from class. She'll be destroyed in social media by noon. So they just sit in class quiet. Now, if any of you, which camera? Give me a camera.
This is such an interesting argument too, because it does completely raise the stakes of these small human interactions to just epic levels that I never had to deal with, obviously. Right. I could go shooting my mouth off in any kind of poli-sci class and I never had to worry about anything, right? These kids are like, holy shit, someone's going to secretly record me and I'm going to get in big trouble. Yeah. It's kind of
crazy.
weird. Yeah, it is. How is that different than like the George Orwell state, kind of everybody policing each other, right? The kind of equilibrium environment where you got to worry about your kids narking you off.
It's insane.
Yeah, we kind of created it through social media. How do we dial that back? Something has to change.
Mm-hmm.
Society's become too high stakes.
Better look at it. Boom! Oh, look at that one. If any of you out there say, oh, that's just like a conservative, white, Southern guy, da-da-da, that's what you're losing. That's what you're losing. Because that's what I heard. And I didn't hear it from Republicans. I didn't hear it from Trumpers. I heard it from Democrats over the past 3 or 4 years. Their kids were afraid to talk in class and say something unpopular because they would be canceled. And
So beautiful.
Yeah.
The wake-up call. The wake-up call is upon us, Adam.
Look, they tried to cancel me just because I contemplated voting for Trump. It's
Yeah.
fucking bullshit. It's such bullshit.
I know. It's insane. Good for Joe.
Browbeating is not an effective electoral strategy.
Right.
So
Right.
thank goodness.
Schools where they came home and one of them got in trouble because he didn't use they or them or whatever pronoun was needed to be used in an 8th grade classroom. He got shunned because of it. The other kid came home one day and she was in trouble because of the same thing, because of language and because she complained about the guy who was playing on her school softball team and the girls softball team. All right?
Oh my God.
So the parents are so frustrated they don't know what to do. And they have one particular party, the Democratic Party, and a small clique of the Democrats who call themselves progressive have spent the last decade hectoring those people. Tell them, no, you have to say they. No, you have to do this. You have to live this way. There are a lot of transgender people. We must respect them. No one wants to harm transgenders.
That doesn't mean people should be kicked out of school for misgendering. Doesn't mean the Democrats should be spending all this time hyper fixated on this dumb issue.
But it's the dignity of trans people, Sitch. Don't you understand? Yes. You're not in favor of the dignity of trans people? What are you, a transphobe?
Obviously.
Are you a hater?
I am, obviously. So this is kind of interesting. This is the New York Times podcast. And you can see there's 3 podcast hosts here, and there's a clear disagreement where like 2 of them are like more woke, Trump bad, and one of them's kind of trying to wake them up out of it. It's very fascinating.
Opinion.
Did you see that? I saw there was a Vox clip. Did you? Is that in here? Okay.
What's the Vox clip?
The same kind of thing. A bunch of people just like in the progressive bubble. So, but it sounds like in this situation, there's 2 of them outside the bubble, right?
It's like one is seemingly kind of trying to breach the bubble here.
Oh, okay.
In a soft way, right?
Right.
So.
Trying to let them know. Oh, all that shit Kamala said, those were lies.
Where, you guys are talking about scapegoats and enemies, right?
Doesn't that, do we get to see these people?
No. There's no
That
way.
voice just says it all right there, doesn't it?
Oh, listen, that's the guy that's like trying to break out of the bubble, okay?
Oh, that's the good guy? I feel bad.
So
okay.
Don't be a hater.
I feel bad now. Go in there. Go forth. Sally forth, good sir.
Right. Obviously, scapegoat and enemy number 1 for Donald Trumpian populism is the media, institutions like the one that all 3 of us work for, right? Elite institutions of all kinds. But what that means, I think, is that people who are inside those institutions experience Trumpism more completely through the crazier things he says, the vitriolic things he says.
Like when he said that journalists should be shot?
Yes.
Like that part? He said that he wouldn't mind it so much if journalists were shot?
When he said that if somebody was going to assassinate him, it was good that they'd have to fire through the press. Yes. Like things like that.
Yeah,
yes.
And he said he didn't mind that so much. I mean, like, I just don't, I want to make sure that we're not saying that it takes.
He's trying to, first of all, say like, listen, maybe since we're in the media, we're getting the full brunt of Donald Trump. Our perception of him is different than everyone else's. The guy's like, no. Listen. Stop it. Stop trying to make excuses for Donald Trump.
This is gold. This is so good. This is so good. He's so triggered.
I know.
Donald Trump wants to kill me. I don't want to be at work today. You understand? I need a mental health day.
Some
And you're
kind of
coming at me
like
with this
what
shit?
Yeah, I know.
wild-eyed interpretation.
No. We're not saying that at all.
Like he's saying very simple things.
I'm not saying that at all. Donald Trump, I mean, in his last 2 weeks especially, which is, I think, something that gave liberals hope, says terrible things. That's absolutely the case. All that I'm saying is that there are a lot of people who voted for the Trump campaign for whom the message that they heard was inflation is too high, the economy has sucked, and Donald Trump is going to bring back the good times. People heard that message. There are a lot of people, especially I think the young men who we've talked about before on this podcast, the young men drifting rightward and so on, who, listen to Donald Trump and J.D. Vance on Joe Rogan and listened to Elon Musk and voted for a vision of America, sending rockets to Mars and things like that.
Although you're
and
making
I'm
a
not, and I just wait. I'm not, and I am not saying, to your point, Carlos, that this stuff proves that, Donald Trump actually ran a totally positive campaign and didn't say terrible things scapegoating his enemies. He absolutely did. He's done it for 8 years. I expect he will continue to do it for as long as he's president of the United States. I'm just saying, if we're talking about the country and the coalition that he leads, what is actually appealing about Trumpism is more complicated than what you get in the dynamic between Trump and his enemies. That's all.
And I just want
Look at that. He's trying to crack the bubble. He's trying to break into the echo chamber.
He is. It's great. No.
Wake up.
He's like, look, Trump said some nasty things, but he also said some very inspirational things, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can't see that, though. It's funny because I do think Kamala's like degrading Trump to inspirational talk ratio was super low, right? I mean, it was 99% Trump bad and 1%, we're going to do good things for the country, right? I do think Trump's was a lot more equal measured.
I don't know if I agree with that calculation. It's probably 50-50, but the reason that in your mind, in my mind, and probably most people's listening's mind, the Donald Trump bad part stuck out so much more that it seems like it was 99% is because that would be the only time she would say a concept that our brains could latch onto, right? Because, and this is always her problem from the beginning. So if she spent 50% of time talking about something positive vision in the future, it was so vague, it was so generalized, it was so unspecific. She was so bad at painting a mental image that our brain doesn't even hold on to the information. It's just like wind, it just goes right by us. But then when she paints the image of Donald Trump being horrible, it's like, oh, that's a concept that our brains understand and we latch onto.
You're so too good faith here, Sitch. You really are. I mean, I would call those statements no. They don't even count towards the ratio. And you'd watch so many of these talks, and it was just constantly pivoting to Trump bad, Trump bad. I mean, it's got to be, if you went in and looked at the arguments specifically in some of these interviews, I think it would have to at least be 80% Trump bad. And I don't know what the aspirational stuff would be. I get what you're saying. But
right.
Anyway,
I don't think I'm being good faith. I mean, we've watched a lot of her content, and I'd be very cognizant when I was watching it, how much of this is anti-Trump and how much of it is pro her own message. And it seemed to me pretty consistently it would be about 50-50 usually. And so, you have to look into okay, if it is 50-50, why does the pro Kamala part just not sit with anyone?
Right.
And it's because I just think it's what I've always said. She just does not paint that picture. She doesn't give anything specific. Everything's so general and vague that you don't remember it. Your brain doesn't latch onto it.
I'm a middle-class kid. I'm going to build a opportunity economy.
Exactly.
Right. And Elon's coming out and going, we need to get to Mars. Young people can be inspired by flying to Mars and living there.
Right.
It's night and day.
Yeah. And also there's a funny tweet, some funny tweets I want to point out too, which was, it's hilarious. Hassan pointed this out, completely not understanding that it destroys his own argument. So Hassan, he put out a tweet on X where he was all like, oh, the Democrats lost because they pivoted to the middle instead of going, far left socialist.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, but then there's another person who tweeted out, fuck everyone that voted third party. I hate all you parasocial activists so much. To which someone replied, it was Jessica Burbank, actually.
Wow, really? MMT girl.
Yeah, she replied, there's not a single swing state that Kamala would have won if every single Jill Stein, Cornel West, and Claudia de la Cruz voted for her. So if that's true, and then, Hassan tweets that out, if that's true, that completely destroys the argument that if Harris had pivoted further to the left to appeal to all the Jill Stein, Cornel West, and Claudia de la Cruz voters, it still wouldn't have made a difference.
Yeah, that is a good observation right there. Yeah, there's not enough of them.
No, it's ridiculous.
Not enough of them that show up and vote, that's for sure.
Right. Matt Walsh tweeted out, now that the election is over, I think we can finally say that, yeah, actually Project 2025 is the agenda, LOL. So,
right.
Don't know if that's a troll or he's being serious. So obviously if he's being serious, that makes him look really like a horribly dishonest person.
Yeah, nothing like setting up the Trump administration for failure just so you can
right.
get a troll off, right?
Yeah, exactly. So probably not the greatest idea. There was, what was it? I guess I didn't save it. Let me see if I can find it. I actually have to give Nostradamus some credit here.
Oh no, what happened?
Nomika. So I was looking up, Nomika wasn't on the show today.
She had a mea culpa?
She wasn't on the show today, so I was, because I was gonna see what the smug Robbie face would have been, if you didn't watch the other day. Nomika, who's was sitting against Robbie, she had some like insane electoral map where Harris would like get like 310 electoral votes and Trump would get like annihilated. And so I was like, okay, she's on the show. Let me see what her Twitter timeline is. And she tweeted this out, and I have to give her credit. Totally correct way to handle it. She says, now is the time to ask questions, not jump to conclusions. Regarding asking questions about why she lost, not jump to your pet, your pet issues are the reason why she lost. So
that's great. Yeah,
for that. Yeah,
she is older, so she's like she gets it more, obviously more mature.
Maybe it's also there could be. I mean, I don't know how old she is, but also it could be just it's like Chris Matthews, the people that were old enough that have been in politics and aware of politics pre-Obama Trump era have a much different view of the landscape, I think, than the people that have only entered into politics in the Obama Trump era.
Yeah. Yes. I think she's 40. I think she said she was 40 in one of these clips that we watched. So.
Okay. Let me read some super chats. Then we got to try to get through all the super chats.
So we're just going to try to get through all the super chats now from last night. And obviously you guys have super chatted some now. So
yeah.
I'll start with I think a lot of streams vanished from the internet last night. A lot of like election coverage.
Maybe, probably. Maybe some of his people took it down intentionally, and maybe some of it was a lot of people probably were getting hit with the same copyright troll fraud that we were getting hit with. So
yeah, that's unfortunate, obviously.
Right.
So,
but I think the stream. I mean, I think last I checked, the stream is still up. So hopefully YouTube will sort out the endless barrage of copyright fraud allegations against us.
Wow,
and
we got
everyone else.
Almost 2,200 live viewers, which is great. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Look, you guys are running out of time to back Supervillains Anonymous. If you want to get a copy, we're gonna keep the campaign up until I start shipping books or we run out of books. So
right. So make sure you get your book. We have limited supply of books, so make sure you order.
Cool.
The Wooster for $5 says, "Peanut avenged. Peace has returned to the galaxy, and all this should be. It's morning in America."
There also is a link to where you can get a book in the description and also pinned to the top of the chat. So I should say that.
Hey, Anna Kasparian's in the chat. She was gracious enough to come on and talk to us yesterday in the beginning of the stream. So make sure you guys check that out.
Yeah, and I clipped it out. So, since the whole stream keeps getting copyright struck. So, yes. And I put a little song at the end of it, so you guys can look forward to that.
Red473 for $2 says, as a Trump voter, does Destiny still want me dead?
I think he does, yeah.
Right.
Did you see this? Solidos sent I think it's a tweet or maybe a comment. Oh, I guess it's a tweet from David Pacman. Should maybe, is this real? Solidos, have you fact checked this?
I didn't see
Sometimes
it.
people send me fake stuff. David Pacman tweet says, as we speak, progressives are tuning out due to understandable despondency over last night's results. I won't speak about others, but I've lost 10,000 YouTube subscribers overnight. When the right loses, they fund operations like Turning Points, invest in media, etc. If we abandon now, we cede total control to absolute lunatics. Not a good idea. So, you got to take on
listen,
that?
this is a great ad campaign, right?
Well, look, I think David Pacman ran a completely dishonest disinformation campaign about Donald Trump. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised if his subscribers are like, "What the fuck, man? You told me he was mentally incapable of being president. How can you tell me that for 6 months and then he wins?"
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, I sent you a message.
Oh, well, okay. Let me look.
Okay, I'll make you go on.
Does
Red
Sammy
47.
G want to come on the live stream? Is that?
No, that wasn't.
Is that what the message is?
Sammy, I think Sammy's working right now.
Look, Sammy was on yesterday and it was great. It was totally sweet. You guys should, well, if the stream ever comes back, you guys should check it out. Like, that was really the hit of the night. A lot of people were commenting on that. So
That's right. That's right.
yeah.
Wasn't Sammy G wonderful and adorable on stream last night? Okay. Everyone leave a positive comment.
The answer to I guess it's J-Mac wants to come on, which is fine. Yeah.
Nice.
He's more than welcome to come on. Yeah.
Okay. Send a link to JMac.
I'll send it. You read some super chats.
I already sent it. It's too quick for you.
You did? Okay.
RPGer 95 says the band who did the victory song hates that Trump used it. LOL. That's funny.
Of course. Look, it's so weird how Hollywood completely goes in lockstep now. I thought Hollywood was about individualism and going against the grain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So bizarre.
Let's see. Bo Peck5 says, you guys mentioned the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact last week. Is that not in effect yet? Otherwise, California, New York, Oregon, Washington, Colorado, New Mexico, etc. would all be red. So I believe
that's hilarious.
So I believe that the way it works is that doesn't come into effect until they get up to 270 electoral votes. So until they have enough states that equals 270, none of that stuff comes into effect. And I believe right now they're at like 206 or something. So no, the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact does not come into effect.
But I thought he was at 270 already.
No. I'm saying, so the okay, let me start over. The National Popular Vote Interstate Compact is a compact that states will sign into and agree that whatever the popular vote is, even if the candidate didn't win their state, they'll give that candidate their electoral votes. It's sort of a way to like work around the electoral college.
Right.
Okay. So, but the compact only comes into effect once enough states have signed on to the compact that equals 270.
Okay. And
so
they haven't done it yet.
They haven't reached it yet. Right.
Okay.
So it's not activated yet. So no, that's not going to
It's a bunch of Democratic states that don't add up to 270 electoral votes. Yeah.
Right.
Because they would all do it simultaneously and win the election for the person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Lucer Doman for 10 Canadian says, did everyone other than Anna, Sitch, and Sammy get a good night's sleep? I sure didn't, but I have a new puppy and she wants to play all the time. Sending love from Vancouver Island and love you all.
I mean, I got a couple hours sleep, so I wouldn't call it like a good night's sleep, but
Adam was
I'll catch up
excited.
tonight.
He was excited about the election results.
I
He's
was.
pumped. Yeah.
Look, my friend Anna was on a bunch of shows. I want to check out
That's
her
right.
on Daily Wire and also the Free Press. She got to talk to Batya. So Batya
Nice.
interviewed her.
I slept like a baby. So.
I was tired this morning.
Oh my
Very
God!
tired.
Hey, it's J-Mac. Look at that. What you got? Wait a minute. When did you get that colorful mic that I wanted?
So okay. You were ranting and raving. I think it was Christian Baller's mic. And
Yeah. Did you just walk out yesterday?
you damn well know I did. I was like, you know what? Sitch loved that mic so much.
You jerk! Look at this jerk.
No, but also because I keep having issues with my sound. You know, every headset I get is
This
super
sounds
wonky.
great. The
It
mic
does?
is
Okay,
good.
I was
Yeah.
testing it earlier. I was like, I'm not going to have this issue anymore. So I've set my workshop computer up to just be anytime I'm going to do any streaming or stuff, it's just going to be this computer. So
Well, I'll get. You're not in the show yet, but I'm working on that, so
Oh my
everyone will
God,
be able
you
to
got-
see this beautiful.
Fucking J-Mac. When he got the mic, I was
This
jonesing
beautiful,
Look,
beautiful
look,
mic that
if you
sounds as
do-
good, that looks as good as it sounds.
I know.
when you do your face reveal, I'll send you one. Okay, right in the mail,
Okay.
special gift just for you.
Perfect.
Terrible. Okay. Yeah, it does sound good too. Lives in Deswalt specifically for $5 says word is that the sacrifice of Peanut corrected the timeline shift. So for those keeping track, the exchange rate is 1 gorilla equals 1 squirrel plus 1 raccoon.
Wow.
There you go. That makes sense. I know that was Sammy's theory last night.
The blood sacrifice.
The blood
It
sacrifice.
was demanded.
The Rooster for $10 says, as a Mexican Trump supporter with a non-Latino girlfriend who has struggled with mild chronic TDS, I feel Sammy G's plight. One day we will convince our SO that Trump is one of the top 5 presidents of significant other, that Trump is one top 5 presidents of all time. Listen, unless Trump does some like historic 180 turn on during his second term, and he's just like the great unifier, you're not gonna convince me. All right, not gonna happen. CS Pappy for $5 says, I concede the election to Bluntyfly, and though there was considerable shenanigery for the peaceful transfer of power, I call my voter to stand down. There you go. That's so generous of you, CS Paffy.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if
he
you
was
guys know
running
this,
for
but,
president for a long time, right?
CS Paffy was running for president himself. The CP vote, as he was saying. Libertarian Sasquatch for $2 says, now is the time to harvest their sweet, sweet tears. Now, listen. J-Mac had a great tweet about this earlier today about how now is the time for healing, right, Jay?
Yeah, it got some traction.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying now is the
responses.
time for firing irresponsible journalists, but I do agree with the sentiment.
Yeah, I think overall most people kind of resonated with it. I mean, it's always fun. It's like sports, you know, when your team wins and
Of
you're just
course,
kinda,
yeah.
but I do think there is going to be some positive play with the graceful winnings of those kind of who are celebrating today. And it's kind of funny because I got some responses where people acted if people who were coming in from on the right who thought I voted left and were like, of course you're saying this now because you lost. And then people from the left who thought I voted right were like, oh yeah, well, you're only saying this because, you know, as if you're not pushing conspiracies and trying to tear down democracy. And it's like, it's so funny if people have those kinds of takes because they have no idea how I voted.
Yeah.
You know, it's just they're assuming, and it just kind of shows you how much their own bubble or information silo can warp their perceptions on people.
They are signaling just their narrative, the narrative that they wholeheartedly believe in. It's sad.
Tom waiting for $10 says, my brain, quote, Sitch and Sammy are adorable. Meanwhile, the paranoid part of my brain, remember what happened with Oni and Gus Johnson's ex-girlfriend. Trust no one. Love is a lie. Time is a flat circle. Well, I don't know what happened in that scenario, but
No, Sammy is
fine.
nothing like her at all. Sammy is
okay.
She's a treasure.
What happened with Gus Johnson's
I think they're talking about because Oni had a kind of public relationship with
Turn your mic up a little bit. Are you
Oh.
able to do that?
I can try. I don't know. It's pretty high tech. Might be beyond my skill level.
Probably do it in the Zoom
Yeah, that's
in the
what I'm
audio
doing.
settings, yeah.
Hey, that's what I'm doing. But I think Oni had a girlfriend, Chris O'Neill, popular Let's Player. His girlfriend had streamed with him a few times, but apparently there was like some shenanigans behind the scenes that involved cheating and other stuff. And so,
Oh my god.
and you know, Oni's kind of a good boy. A lot of people like him just because of he just kind of entertains, and I think it left a sour taste in people's mouth because their relationship was pretty public, and
That's good.
So, but no, Sammy is not like that. Sammy is a doll. So feisty, but
like Christian Ball is trying to get secret information out of Sammy about my appearance in the chat. The Wooster for $10 says, by the way, Hispanics came out bigly for Trump. Starr County, Texas, the most Hispanic county in the U.S. where my ancestors are from, flipped red for the first time in 100 years. I love my people. Yeah, we talked about that last night. It was pretty crazy.
There's a bunch of sick stuff going on Twitter too, where people are
it's
getting
wild.
totally racist and blaming all kinds of people.
Hispanics, blacks.
Yeah, I choose to believe that is such a microcosm, though, that's just amplified by the algorithm. I don't think your average person. I can't choose to believe the average American or Democrat believes that.
Yeah,
D's
I
nuts for
agree.
$5. Yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead.
D's nuts for $5 says, I work for a California company, had a retreat this week. Gay coworkers are generally afraid that they're going to be put in camps and that democracy is over. Oh my God. It's crazy. That's sad. It's sad, but M8566 for $5 says left-wingers aren't doing so well right now. How do we help them come back to reality? How do we cure their TDS and get them off the black pills? I mean, it's kind of what we were talking about today is if we can get the media, if the media establishment can sort of like get off of this toxic identity politics and actually get back on, the Democrats caring about middle class, working class people and care about trying to make, their economic living conditions better and the living conditions of everyone in the country better, as opposed to this like identity politics, cultural, swamp. I think that's a really good position to get us back on track. And I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic about it so far. So
yeah, morning Joe was nice to hear. Some positive reflection, I think.
Right. Now, tonight could be a different tale once the Rachel Maddows and Chris Hayes come on. We'll see. I don't know. They could be singing a different tune. So I'm curious.
Did you see Al Sharpton's his take?
No. What was his take?
He was going in one direction, and then all of a sudden he said, "And we have to, male blacks and Latinos have to answer for this." Like immediately.
That I did see that. I did see that. Yes. Yeah, I did see that. Yeah. Right. Hypnoto for $5 says, Adam, can you sign my comic, A-Team Reigns Supreme 2024?
I am weary of doing that because then I'd have to sign everyone's comic, and I hadn't planned on signing 3,000 comics. So
it's an extra $50 if you guys want it to be signed, and you're paying for shipping.
Well, I didn't really add that as like a campaign thing, so I guess that's technically the way to do it. Because then if you pay for it, then it's not I'm not obligated to do it to everyone. So
yeah, you do it that or friends and family only. That's how you do it.
I'll consider adding a tier for signed comics if that's something that you guys want. Like, let me know, because I can add something like that. And I mean, I'm willing to sign some of them for sure, but I don't want to be in like signing 3,000 comics. So
well, you spend all that time drawing. I mean, your hands are already sore.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You can open more slots. I mean, if people are psychotic enough to want to buy an official hand-drawn Sitch drawing a terrible fucking Sitch chibi, chicken scratch my awful, drawing with and I'll sign it. We can open more of those tiers. People are crazy enough to want that. So.
Yeah. So those did go pretty fast. So I think people might want those. And Sitch said he would draw as many as you guys want. So
yes.
As many. Yep. Quite the promise.
So, yep.
I might be able to do that. We're streaming tomorrow, right? I might be able to do that later today. Sure. And we'll open it up tomorrow. So we'll see what happens.
Edward Sr. for $5 says, message to the DNC, make my life easier, not harder. Yes. 0 for $5 says, Danny Polish Chuck got a hold of Kamala's concession speech. Y'all should check it out.
Really?
Is that like a joke? Or
didn't we just hear it?
Didn't we just hear it? I'm assuming, I think this is like a comedy thing. So we'll check it out in a bit. Lives in Deswald specifically for $5 says, we don't know if anything will be learned for at least a year. That's enough time to either act on introspective findings or bury them again. Bury them again. I don't know if I can say that. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, we are going to have to see what happens. We only got time will tell. So Adam Robot for 22 months says, my birthday is tomorrow. Can I have a kitten? Has anyone put Swiffer pads on their cats to help them clean all those weird spots they hide? That's a good idea. I never thought to do that.
It would be a good idea unless your cat sheds a bunch and then you're just kind of replacing
Spreading it
whatever they're
everywhere.
picking up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. All Beef Hot Dog for $5 says, the left today has been acting just like Principal Skinner. Quote, am I out of touch? No, the voters are wrong, who are wrong. Looney Tune world, indeed. Yeah, it's, obviously the internet punditry space is going to be very different from the mainstream media space. It always has been. So I'm hoping that the mainstream media space gets some sanity. I've basically given up on most of the far left internet punditry space. I think they're gonzo.
Crazy, yeah. I wonder if that all beef hot dog is a TYT meme crossover. Because they're always doing this. Yeah, they have this clip of, I think it's Romney talking about how hot dog is his favorite meat. That's hilarious. We should bring that clip up sometime.
Mitt Romney said hot dog is his favorite meat.
Yeah. It's comical, yeah.
I don't think hot dogs are a type of meat. It's a form
I know,
of meat.
It's so insane.
It's a shape that meat can take, but...
Well, I was going to say Mormonism is a lot more restrictive than I thought. Or listen, I hate to say it, but, could be some latent sexual things going on. I mean, the Mormons aren't too big on people being openly gay.
Look,
so I'm just,
there's nothing gay about sticking extra long
all
bun
beef
length
hot dog.
all beef hot dog. Let it slide down your throat, savoring every inch. Okay, nothing gay about that.
Of course, real men can,
some
12
their
inch
throat, right?
foot long hot dog.
Some people chew their hot dogs and other people suck on them.
Did I see Vosh's post-election video? I did not. No. I assume it's
Is it
crazy,
good?
But I did see it.
Is it cringelicious?
I'm sure it's
probably
just the worst. Let's see.
Did he do the Lacey Green video where he sighs into the camera? Oh my god!
I mean, he did. He's just Jesus. He's done 3. He said, "Yeah, it was really bad. What the hell happened?" And Kamala's terrible concession speech is why she lost. Which, depending on what he says, that could actually be. I might actually agree with that.
Yeah, that might be true.
Yeah. Mr. Middleman for $2 says, I'm just glad there's a clear and decisive winner. Yes, so glad. Really thought this was going to be a multi-week, month-long, horrible slog, and very glad it all ended in one day. So
yeah, we got our wish.
Yep.
I don't think Arizona's been called yet, though, so I don't know.
It doesn't matter. No one cares about your state.
Apparently, yeah.
Silence You Idiot for $20. Thanks so much. This is someone who bought the whole gender war polls and arguments from channels like Breaking Points. I'm still watching people cope that it's racism and sexism while women were evenly voting for Trump all the same. Yeah, I mean, there was more women voting for Harris, but I don't believe it wasn't, I think it was like 10 points or something, but it wasn't like, the massive, like all the women are secretly voting against their husband sort of thought process that some were kind of.
It wasn't a blowout.
Yeah, this kind of goes the opposite.
Ads didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
What's the opposite?
Well, it's not a lot of women secretly voting against their husband's interests, but it's like a lot of women secretly voting against their perceived female friends' interests, where they all think they will be unaccepted if they vote for Trump, but they're all voting for Trump.
Oh, yeah.
They all act like they're with the progressive agenda, but secretly they actually are, wearing their MAGA caps and hitting the polls.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I voted for Trump too. I lied to you. Slumber party.
Dwight Baldwin for $2 says, can you invite Professor Lichtman on the show?
Yes, we can. Definitely.
It was 4 Doors More Horrors, not the official Kyle Rittenhouse account, tweeted Tim Pool's video to me that talked about this in the past, and maybe we'll talk about it. And they were kind of going through the keys, and they were making the claim, which actually seemed to be a pretty good claim, which is that if maybe the keys are actually correct, but just Lichtman's interpretation of the keys was incorrect. And maybe if he had actually had an unbiased interpretation of his own keys, he could have predicted that Trump would have won.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting.
Because Trump was an incumbent.
Well, just there's a bunch of things about economic instability, who's the incumbents, are there, what kind of, feelings are in the population about the current presidency and climate and stuff like that. Good Faith Gary, thanks so much for $20. Says, happy hump day, everyone. Want to throw some support your way? Let's all try to calm down now a bit. Also, S-Class is still the best class.
Skeptical.
Doug for $5 says, the worst thing about the result is that Grover Cleveland now has nothing unique to remember him for. That's not true. That's not true. He has one thing unique, okay? That he still has a Muppet named after him.
Grover Cleveland. Yeah, he's the only other non-consecutive 2-term president. I don't know. Is Trump going to be this FDR-like figure, though? Because that's going to be a lot more influential than just the 2-term
I'm
thing.
skeptical, but
You are?
yeah.
I don't. It seems like he's assembled like a Super Friends type atmosphere.
Yeah, that remember right after the assassination, that was the exact same attempt. There was the exact same atmosphere.
He's got a Kennedy on board.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Okay, we'll see.
He's got Tulsi Gabbard. He's got Elon Musk, the guy who wants to get us to Mars. I mean, I would love to see an American flag on Mars. I'd love to see a little thriving city on Mars.
That'd be wonderful.
That'd be based.
I saw a clip of RFK that didn't give me a lot of confidence. Okay. He was talking about that the nutrition department of the FDA is completely trash, which I at first was like, yes, base. Nutrition in this country is completely broken. And the FDA and the mainstream thought about it is also completely broken. So I was happy about that. But then he said something that I was like, what? This is retarded. And hopefully if he's in charge of this, he'll learn better. He was complaining about how in America, if you look on the back of the Fruit Loops box, there's like 15 ingredients. And if you look at the back of the Fruit Loops box in like Canada or some other country, there's only 3.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know this from Sammy G, who has looked into this. And she has told me that that's all bullshit. The reason that there's so many more ingredients in the American ingredients isn't because there's more stuff in the food. It's because actually there's more of those evil regulations that actually say that you have to be more specific about the ingredients as opposed to just giving these very general terms. So he's completely wrong about that one.
Right.
Yeah, I think one of the only, as a libertarian leaning person, one of the only places I like that kind of government regulations is when transparency is enforced. You know, because then that gives the consumer the ability to consent to what they're trying to consume.
Right. And part of that also might be, he's saying in Canada, I don't know if it's true in Canada, but I know in Europe, there are some dyes that are banned that are not banned in America. So they could probably add some extra ingredients too.
Well, even how they identify their food. I know there was a big famous case, I think it was in the UK, where Subway had to redefine their bread as a dessert item.
As like not bread.
As in like, as like a equivalent of cake because of the amount of sugar and crap in it.
Yes. Yeah. I really think, people will talk about the American diet kind of ruining people. And, Sammy was kind of pushing this. And I think it's true because I've been skinny my whole life, even though I didn't really eat very healthy my whole life. And I think it's because I would always eat a lot of protein. Protein would always be kind of my go-to source as opposed to carbs. And I think the overabundance of carbs, the overabundance of sugar, and the horrible lack of fiber that has been completely removed from like 95% of Americans' diet is just making everyone get fat, diabetic.
Yeah, nutrition is not a zero-sum game. There's a lot of aspects to it, and gut health is very important, and not enough people really talk about it.
Yes. J-Mac, look at that. J-Mac for $20 says, hey, everyone, hope you guys didn't skip your workout today.
Oh, it was so hard. My wife and I both woke up late, and so the kids were almost late for school. And so normally I drop them off and I go take them to school. But my wife said she would do it because I was staying up late with you guys. But she stayed up late too. So it was kind of a wash. So we woke up at like they had to leave the house in 10 minutes. So we're both like a hurricane going around throwing their shirts on and throwing them in the car.
Nice.
So
well, tell her we're sorry about keeping you up late.
No, it's okay. I made it to the gym. And that's all that matters. And they made it to school on time.
The day is not over yet.
Sketch for $2 says America has finally unburdened by what has been.
Oh,
there you
hopefully.
Go. Satan for $5 says if Trump is half as fascist or as authoritarian as ahem, certain people have argued, why so calm? How is the revolution not the only moral choice now?
My sentiments exactly.
That was Adam's argument, yeah.
Just seems ridiculous.
I haven't checked up on Destiny today. I know he's streaming, so I don't know if he's a calm take, a non-calm take. So I guess we'll find out.
If he
I would
is-
imagine even from a even if you're going to be the most uncharitable, cynical perspective, the people that were raising the alarm about Donald Trump being a fascist, they're still going to have a more wait and see attitude before they start, raising the red flag of revolution.
You think so?
Yeah, because it would
They
look bad if they immediately say revolution now, revolution now. They're going to wait till something.
No, their
actually happens.
reputations are on the line. They're going to see him as a fascist no matter what because
Maybe.
their
No, but
reputation is wrapped up in him being a fascist.
You are correct. I'm talking about in terms of calling for a violent revolution.
Right.
Specifically. Obviously, they're going to keep saying it's fascist regardless. That's a different
Right.
question.
Right. A fascist. Okay, whatever.
Girl Sarah for $2 says, there she goes talking about race again. The race.
Kamala.
Yeah. Renoro Zoro's here for $10. Thanks so much. Says, what happened to last night's stream? Did Sammy G answer my super chat about who her favorite Straw Hat character is? Didn't hear it. Hopefully she converts you to stan One Piece Sitch. We didn't get to all the super chats. I don't believe we got to that one, but Sammy's in the chat, so I'm sure she'll be happy to answer. She's a huge One Piece fan. So.
And we are going to get to those super chats here, so
yeah,
may still be coming up.
Electro for $20. Thanks so much. Says, if I have to go through 4 more years of Trump gaining in minority voters and people still saying that America's a racist nation, I'm going full black pill like nothing will be enough for them. Yep.
Yeah, how do we fight that, Sitch? It's just, we're talking to a brick wall.
Right.
I think you just have to continue with the messaging and showing. And you're always going to have crazies. You're always going to have people who are just psychotic and there's no change in their mind. But most people, even ones that kind of lean in that camp or have a foot in there, they can't deny the reality, and they're just going to be, you're going to have to just move on. I think most people will, hopefully.
Right. We'll see.
RBGH fan for $5 says, quote, we believe in a peaceful transfer of power, end quote, but we'll spend the next 4 years trying to impeach you, put you in prison, and or bankrupt you. So I believe they said that the federal investigations are all going to end now. Jack Smith even said they can't go after and won't go after a sitting president. So all that stuff's going to end. I don't know what's going to happen with state investigations. They're either going to go away or have to at least be paused for 4 years. So
Can't
we'll
they
see.
throw these prosecutors in jail?
That would be a very bad look. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with impeachment. So if Trump does something that gets everyone out of, I mean, right now, the Republicans going to hold. They're going to have the control of the House and Senate. So you're going to have at least 2 years of no impeachments unless something really egregious happens.
Is he going to get in trouble if he's trying to negotiate some end of the Ukraine war before he's actually in office?
He would get in trouble. You're not allowed to do that legally.
Right.
But we'll see. I mean, now we're going to have the answer to that question. Is Donald Trump's presence going to magically make the war end in Israel, Russia, and prevent China from attacking Taiwan?
I saw something that the Houthis gave up, but I don't know if it was just people
like a meme or something.
Yeah.
Zelensky, he tweeted out too. I saw Dylan was commenting on it. So
do you remember what he said?
He just said congratulations to President Trump, and then a lot of people, I think a lot of people kind of don't understand foreign policy and thought he would just kind of go. It's like, no, if he's going to be the next president, you got to play nice, and that's kind of what Dylan was saying.
Right.
So,
how's Dylan doing?
I think he's doing okay. I don't know. I've just seen a few posts mainly about the Ukraine stuff, but
right. I think he was pretty anti-Trump, so
yeah, for sure.
Sadie from $2 says, not very brat, not very brat at all. No.
All these celebrities, their power is just so waning.
It's true.
How's that feel to go out and completely have this huge celebrity push for weeks and then, who cares?
Well, I think it goes into what they were saying in the clip we just watched about how that attitude of there's these liberal elites that are all kind of in a clique and they all kind of shit on, the red part of the country. So yeah, obviously a bunch of celebrities coming out, that's not going to have any, sway.
Right.
Cameraman502 for $5 says, what's the over under on the amount of yassification of Harris's concession speech we'll receive? I'm predicting t-shirts and Stanley Cups. I think I'm going to go in the complete opposite direction. I think now that Harris has lost, the emperor's new clothes effect of Harris will go away, and people will finally on the left be able to admit that she was a bad candidate. Sort of the same thing that happened with Hillary Clinton.
Do you think, because there's a possibility, I've seen it crop up in a few people, where people are starting to go hard into it's Joe Biden's fault for staying in and not, dropping out early, or not, allowing the Democrat Party to have enough time for a primary. So
I saw some of that too, and I'm like, oh, look, they're saying all the things we said a year ago.
Oh yeah, that's going to happen. And to be fair, I think that's completely true.
Yeah.
If Joe Biden had dropped out a year ago and they had a normal primary and they had a candidate that had to go through the primary process, I think Trump would be in a far less, Trump probably might have not won. So
yeah.
Toxic Mix, thank you so much for the $20. Says, if I can reach out to our blue brethren, I know this isn't what you want to hear right now, but given some time of soul searching, you're going to see a better Democratic Party, better media, better ideas, and a better discourse. Well, look at that. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to see it, definitely.
Actually, for $20 says, one thing I got wrong about the election, I did not think the whole Biden coup and lack of primary would impact people's opinions of Democrats so much. I've seen a lot of people referencing it as impacting their vote. That'd be interesting. I'd use caution as to taking anecdotal things that people are saying in terms of trying to figure out what exactly caused it. But there's going to be a lot of deep dive investigation into this to see. I would be surprised too. I would be very surprised if that was a big thing that really impacted people's vote as well.
I know I didn't want to reward that kind of behavior, but you know me,
Right.
I'm down with democracy. Republics are okay too, but
there you go. Mad Lib 07 for $20 says, I heard a lot of talk about how the Democrats won't pull January 6th, which is fair enough, but I thought Hitler just won the election. So if there was time, wouldn't it be a right fucking now? Well, it'd be fun. I mean, they can't do the same thing because the loophole has been closed.
the loophole, yeah.
Right. But how hilarious. I don't approve of this at all, by the way, but it would have been hilarious if Harris, as the vice president, tried to January 6th herself into presidency. So
go ahead, Jay.
I was going to say, I really hope that there is a wake up with a lot of Democratic voters that can kind of see the disconnect of Harris congratulating Trump and then like allowing him to be sworn in and everything, and be like, oh, well, he can't be Hitler because, I voted for Harris and she doesn't like Hitler. So why would she do that with Hitler? It must have just kind of been political bravado. And that's what we need. We need people to kind of take a few steps back from their apocalyptic views of each party.
We'll see. I think a lot's going to depend on what Trump's rhetoric is before he gets sworn in, and then obviously what was he doing the first 100 days. So
his acceptance speech was decent. I'll give him that.
Yeah, it's fine. Whatever.
People are going to be glued to C-SPAN on January 6th this in 2025, though. Definitely, just to watch Kamala Harris because it's the drama. It's the drama of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Inaugurations is going to be another drama because Donald Trump snubbed Joe Biden in his inauguration. He didn't even go. And now it's going to be
That's true.
It's going to be Joe Biden.
Yeah.
It's going to be Joe Biden like handing it off to Donald Trump.
But that is
Joe Biden
though.
going to do the same thing?
If Biden and Harris show up to the inauguration, I mean, I don't think anyone on the right is going to give the Democrats any credit for that whatsoever. Considering
showing up
Trump
to the
snubbed them.
inauguration.
Yeah, showing up to the inauguration. So.
Do people know that Trump snubbed them? Do people on the right even know?
I mean,
this?
I had forgotten that, so probably not.
They probably don't. Yeah. Look, I remember the details because I think it's interesting.
Lives in Dev's wall specifically for $5 says, I took a look inside myself once. It was mostly organs, blood, and partially digested food. Delicious. Let's talk about prepping for 10. Let's talk about prepping for $10. Says Adam, she was referring to the courage of the people she prosecuted as a prosecutor to take the stand in their own defense. Like, what the fuck is nonsensical? We need to be more like them. I kind of zoned out.
I can't tell if that's a joke.
I think it's a joke. TL1524 for $5 says, Mr. Harris, what you said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I've ever heard. I award you no points and may God have mercy on your soul. Classic
Good.
reference. Thank you. Aussie ODST for 2 Aussie bucks says, where the heck was this energy when she was running? Really? I thought it was on display the whole time.
I thought that was pretty low energy.
Exactly. That's my point. Sketch for $2 says, bye, Felicia. The Booster for $5 says, 2020 being a fraud is more credible now if you compare the suspicious turnout versus all other years. Mail-in ballots should be illegal and ID required. A lot of people are pointing to this, and I haven't done a deep dive into numbers, but just eyeballing it, I kind of feel like this is a total misread of the numbers. Because if you look at it, unless you're also accusing Donald Trump of massive fraud, you see there's a big increase in turnout for both Trump and for Biden that year, which makes sense considering making it much easier to vote. And then you see, obviously, Harris, Trump kind of continues to go up. Harris has a big drop. And when I was looking at Steve Kornacki go over the numbers, it was very interesting because he's talking about how, like, think about it this way. If there's some sort of like systemic mail-in or systemic voter fraud, how difficult that would be to manifest the way it manifested. Because you have Steve Kornacki going over the numbers, and it's not like, oh, one state or two states, two blue states, that's where like all the votes were, and that's why Biden won. No, it was each individual county, there was just more people voting for Biden that showed up. And if you look at the numbers now, you have even the counties that Harris lost, there just wasn't as enough turnout in the blue counties. And he's kind of talking about in Pennsylvania, and he's kind of tracking the numbers. And the numbers do actually track, you know, if you look at the years, they kind of go they make a line graph there. And so you basically have to have a situation where you had this insanely massive fraudulent voting campaign where somehow across all the different states, which all hold their own elections, across all the different counties, you have all this like voter fraud in a county by county basis where they're just perfectly, you know, matching and getting in just the number of votes they need in each county, which seems incredibly difficult to do, number one. And then number two, that begs the question, if the Democrats were so Machiavellian that they could do this massive voter fraud in the last election so successfully, why didn't they do it this election?
Yeah.
So far, I don't really buy any of these claims. Jonathan Smith for $5 says, during the campaign, Trump is a fascist. Kamala, we must respect the election, i.e. submit to fascism. Why no one believes it? Stop calling wolf. Yes. MA566, thanks so much for the 5. Get some messages, memberships. Judah Farden for $20. Thanks so much. Says, to all the people saying they're going to flee the country because Trump won, go bro. Nobody's going to effing miss these guys. Now I'm waiting for them to say Trump stole the 2024 election.
Yeah.
Sketch for $5 says, big mood. That was me. The one conservative in film thesis class with 15 liberal students in New York City. Easier to not rock the boat than to speak up. True. But sad.
Yeah.
People have to
I
feel
love
that way.
speaking up though.
Yeah.
Adam Unfriended for $20. Adam Unfriended for $20 says, yesterday was a good day. Sitch lost his virginity to a Latina. Trump won the minority vote, and Democrats are coping and seething. S-Class is the best class. Sitch and Sammy G kids are going to be super based. Well, that's true.
Look at that.
Boba Peck for $5 says, wait, how does this segment square with the clip of Joe talking with Al Sharpton about how racist and sexist Latino and black men are?
That's
yeah,
what
it's interesting.
everyone's sharing.
It is interesting how they're sort of like, they're throwing everything, right? But Joe is correct. Joe's 100% correct that there has been this sort of, maybe not in the way that he's framing it, but in the way that there shouldn't be this like the left just looks at white people and white men specifically and says, you guys are where all bigotry comes from in the world. When in reality, that's not true. There's a lot of people that are racist or bigoted among all ethnic groups. So.
Oh, yeah.
Lives in Deswell specifically for $5 says it will be of crucial importance to accurately remember the lessons of this past decade, 40 years in the future, lest they be forgotten or rewritten. An Alien for 5 Aussie bucks says, you guys have to make sure yesterday's stream stays up. The most important Sitch lore dropped last night near the end of the stream. S-Class is best class. We'll make
What
sure.
was the lore? What was the specific lore?
I don't know. I guess people have to find out.
The SS lore that dropped. The Sammy Sitch
Wow,
lore.
look at this. The Nazi lore. Okay. Very unfortunate letters there.
I feel like that was kind of midstream though. I don't think it was totally at the end. So I think Sammy G logged off by the time Trump came on. So
she couldn't deal with it.
We're
She's
gonna
just
have
so
to cut out all that Trump stuff at the end. So
yeah, we are, unfortunately. So all the
yeah.
Bubba Gump Shrimp Co. lore might be lost, except for those that witnessed it
Oh
live.
yeah, the Bubba Gump.
The Bubba Gump debacle.
She was off. Look, Sammy G was talking some mad shit last night. She was. I forgot about that. We might have to blur out the
I meant to
footage
ask my
just
wife
to get
too.
the lore back.
I was going to
Right.
get her opinion on it, and I totally forgot. I'll have to ask her later today.
Okay, good. We need a complete accounting from the chat, from all women in chat. How do they feel about the Bubba Gump Shrimp Co. restaurant?
First date.
Yeah.
Like, is that a nay, yay, or don't care?
Right.
Well, first of all, I want to be clear. This was pre us even dating that we went there. Okay. We were
Pre-date.
not actually dating. Yeah.
You're
This
testing the
was like
waters.
we're in the friend territory. Okay. We're like
Oh.
scoping each other out after a day, at the amusement park.
Did you order the oysters?
No, of course not.
You don't
That's a
ever
terrible
order the
idea.
oysters at Bubba Gump's,
right.
okay? I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah.
Do they even have oysters? I don't know.
Stick with the shrimp
I
and
don't
the
know.
mozzarella cheese sticks. Those are safe.
That's
don't know.
hilarious. I'll be right back, guys.
Okay. Get123 for 10 Canadian says, in my opinion, the reason Trump is purely down to economics is there is one county in the entire U.S. where wage growth beat inflation over the past 4 years. Wow. I didn't know it was that bad. I mean, that would definitely make sense if that's the case. Girl Star for 2 hours says, Super Killers Anonymous coming to you 2030. Alex Wright for $10 says, will these majorities affect Trump's first 2 years? Republicans are looking at a 2 or 4 majority in the Senate, dependent on a plus 0.4 Pennsylvania or a 0.3 Nevada, holding a some majority similar to the current in the House. Yeah, of course. These will definitely affect Trump. It'll make it very easy, or not, maybe not very easy, but it'll definitely make it significantly easier to pass legislation, pass policy. So. Seki Jokes 45 for £5 says, remember this time 8 years ago when you told us you were better than us, Anna? How does it feel to be in the basket of deplorables? Muhaha, you're all right. Well, there you go.
Have you guys watched her appearance with the Daily Wire yet?
I have not. No. How was it?
I
think
haven't seen
Adam
it. I don't know if they clipped it. I was looking for it earlier, but I haven't seen it.
The Real Holtonator for $2 says, now is the time for scalps. No. Now is the time for unity. Okay. Holtonator, now is the time for coming together as a country.
How about just a couple scalps?
Maybe a couple, depending on who you name.
The crazy scalps, those ones are.
I'm
you can
thinking
agree on that.
Pisco.
No.
I'm thinking Hutch.
No.
Hey,
I'm thinking
credit-
pandering politics.
Credit where credit's due. Like Brianna, Wick, there's some people out there who are not happy with the results that are being very mature about it. So
true, that is true.
Grifters.
and Anna, she was saying her piece.
Frosty Cans for
Anna is
$5.
a saint. Anna's definitely not a grifter. So
right. Says, I thought it was going to be like the ending of T2 where the T1000 falls into the molten vat, except Kamala would be shifting through all of her accents.
Oh my God, that's
pretty funny.
That is the greatest image. Look,
that is.
If only Kamala would have threw an image in there. She tried to go through the billion points of light.
I know, right?
What the use? Is this the ending of a sci-fi movie here?
I know. The Green Skull for $2 says, white men for Trump checking in. MA566 for $1.50 with the hot dog emoji.
Look at that. All beef hot dog. Hot dog meat.
Eric Diota for 10 Canadian says, hey, Elon, now that the election is over, can we see all the illegal votes that were made in the swing states now the election is over? I'll wait. Yeah, whatever happened to all the massive illegal immigrants coming in and voting for blue to make the country the communist hellscape that Elon was
They voted for Trump.
Yeah, they all voted for Trump.
Total backfire. Total backfire, yeah.
That's why Trump said, we're going to deport you, but we'll bring you back in.
Yeah, it is. Soldos for $5 says, breaking news, Harry Sisson and other feminine men known as twinks are to all be handed to Robert O'Neill. Sorry, Sammy, but you have to give up Sitch. Terrible.
Oh,
how dare you?
Mean.
The thin boy harem, yeah.
I know.
We streamed for 12 hours yesterday, and this is how you repay us?
I know.
I think it was closer to 13 hours because I think we went like an hour past the 12-hour mark.
There was yeah. Anyway, Liz and Deswell specifically for $5 says just made a system of 6 walls each candidate must overcome in order to reach the presidency that predicts past results. Pay me money to talk about it.
Instead of the keys, you've got the walls. Nice.
The walls, yeah.
Good for you.
I'm sorry, real quick. When you can say the keys, or what's that in reference to? Give me like the 2-second.
So there's a guy named Alan Lichtman who came up with something called like the 12 keys to the presidency. And he claims that and they're like concepts, like, is the economy good? Are they the incumbent? I forget. There's like 12 concepts essentially.
Okay.
And he says that if whoever has the most of these concepts positively to them will win the election. And he
You got to have like
is,
9 out of 12 or 6 out
or
of
whatever.
9.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is,
the number.
but
yeah. And he claims that he has, using this system of keys, he has correctly predicted like the last, all the elections in the last 30 years or something. So
gotcha. And he said Kamala for
right. And now it's interesting because according to his little concepts, his keys, he said Kamala was going to win. So obviously this should prove his keys wrong. And he's going around telling everyone, because he was very famously saying that Biden shouldn't drop out, that Biden has all these keys, so he should stay in the race. But I think if you actually analyze his concepts, his keys, you'll see that I think they could have actually been correct, but they would have actually shown that Trump had more keys than Kamala, and it was his own biases that sort of shifted it for him. So
interesting.
Joe the Make for $5 says ultra processed food consumption average 60% of caloric intake in the US, 44% in Europe. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that doesn't help either.
You gotta check in on Peter Zion.
Oh, I forgot about that. Peter Zion was like 100% saying that he did not think Trump could win this because of January 6th. That's right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll see what he has to say about this. Shotgun Breakfast for $10 says, does anyone else find it suspicious that Elon, whose company gets massive amounts of funding from the federal government, wants to run the Department of Government Efficiency? Sure, it'll be totally fine, and Elon will not give all of his companies all the government contracts. I'm totally sure that won't happen.
What do you think of Elon Musk making his battery technology patents open source so anyone can use them? Like right now, Ford and GM, they're all using his patents to make their electric vehicles.
I think that's good. Good for him.
Well, why do that if he's like some greedy person that's just going to hoard all the government contracts?
We'll see what happens. Listen, I'm going to hold out hope. I hope everything's going to be great. I hope Elon's going to be the magical autistic Jesus savior, but we bring us to Mars, but
yeah,
we'll see.
I'll say that's not much different than how it is now. There's so many government contracts that are just monopolized by a set amount of companies that are charging the government an arm and a leg more than like competitors. So we'll see.
Look, if I'm milking the government right now for some contract where I'm barely doing anything and I see Elon Musk coming my way, I'm terrified because that guy has like an ethical spine most people in business just don't have. So I think it's a good thing. I definitely think it's a good thing. So, but look, I've read a bunch of books about Elon Musk.
Speaking of Elon Musk sent us a Streamlab last night for $2. Says, I used to have a girlfriend from another solar system, but we broke up. Now she's my space X.
Only $2? Wow, cheapskate.
That is
pretty good though.
That is, yeah.
Finally got Adam with a pun. Look at that. Electro for $5 says, Sitch saying my state doesn't matter, and Adam saying I deserve to fall into that pool. I'm feeling politically homeless right now. Sad. Listen, I'm just saying the true, okay? Nobody cares anymore. No one cares about your state anymore. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Arizona.
The truth hurts, but it is the truth.
Listen, no one cares about my fucking state. My state, everyone knows this, especially now that it's gone like super red. No one gives a fuck about Florida.
My state, everyone cares about, so.
No one cares about California.
Get out.
Metal Rules 81 for $5 says, sorry, JMac, I consider Majority Report as crazies. I watched the election stream this morning and it was glorious. I also sent you a DM.
Okay. Who was that from?
Metal Rules 81. Hey, Shoe's in the chat. Shoe says, total vindication. There you go. Soldoge for $5 says, we keep talking about the left's lessons learned, but let's be honest, right will learn nothing from victory, and in 2028 will run to the far right. I don't know. Like, I don't think they're going to learn anything. I agree with that. From this, it's hard for me to really get a good grasp of what the Republican Party will look like post-Trump. So I can't even really hypothesize at this point in time.
California Proposition 36 increases penalties for certain theft and drug crimes. 70%. 53% reporting. So, yeah, California's sick of this shit.
Sketch for $5 says, Kamala did to Biden what Democrats thought Palin would do to McCain in 2008. Ironic. That is kind of funny. Lives in Deswald specifically for $2 says, was illegally fleeing to Canada before it was cool. Nice. Twisted Trading for $20. Thank you so much. Says, as a Democrat, they have nobody to blame but themselves for this loss. The party turned their backs on men, and not all women vote Democrat. They effed around and found out.
True. Yes.
It's just Abby for $5 Aussie bucks says, man, why are some people getting so vengeful? Your guy won. Why are they getting angrier? Yeah, see, that is the problem. There are too many people that are too vengeance-based as opposed to, you won. Now it's time to win with grace and build the country, make things better. The best way to get vengeance is to make your opponents realize, in the words of Gul Dukat, okay, the best way to defeat your enemies is to make them accept and realize your greatness.
Well, yeah, that's that common meme of the bully picking on you, and then your best revenge is growing up and being successful and leaving all that behind.
Right. Zoki for 12 months. Thanks so much for the 1 year. Says, it was a shame I missed the stream since I had to work. It went past midnight on election day. Sucks. I must have missed some highlights on the stream. Oh, yes. I mean, I believe the stream's up currently, so you should be able to check it out. But it was pretty cray-cray. It was pretty fun. Alex Wright for $5 says, but Sitch. Slim majorities in Congress was the reason for the repeal and replace mess and the failure to pass immigration policy after zero tolerance. You're correct. But a lot of that, I feel like a lot of that is because of the looming re-election. And so now that this is Donald Trump's last term, or they'll say lame duck, which always triggers me when people say that for someone's second term. Now this is Donald Trump's last term. He can't be reelected. I do wonder if it's just going to be the same old obstructionism, or there'll be maybe a little bit something different.
Does RFK support universal health care? I guess we should know that already, right?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Since he's going to be his health guy, that's the pitch.
Right.
Yeah, he just has to stay away from the oil.
Right, exactly.
Yep. Dr. Dealer for $3 says, well, I have to admit, lefty tears are funnier, I guess. Well, that's fair. Dr. Dealer for $2 says, it's crazy how if Trump wins, I look forward to the Salty Hutch stream where he'll be drinking Jack Daniels as mascara rolls down his face, bawling and screaming about how Adam did this.
It's all my fault, guys.
There you go.
Way to go, Adam.
Look, it's my mom. Sitch's mom for $2 says, oh, Sitch, I'm so glad to see you finally confirm things with that nice Goyim girl, Sammy. I want you to know, though, I'm expecting at least 3 grandkids from you before I die, so you better get to work soon.
Wow.
Listen, you hear that, Sammy? 3 kids.
You guys should just do IVF and have triplets. Just line them up.
Knock it all out at once.
Yeah, get it over with.
I'm pretty sure
Why
IVF
wait?
does like a 3-for-1 deal,
There you go, Sammy. 3 for 1. How do you feel about that? The chat for $2 says, last week, Sammy asked Vanessa whether Sitch or Adam would be top, but now the question will now have to be flipped on Sammy.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. Give us the naughty details. Is Sitch the bottom we all know it to be? Or is there an unexpected side?
Yeah, what's his position on pegging?
There you go. I'm very anti-pegging. All right. So.
Are you really?
Yes. Completely anti-pegging.
Sure.
One-way exit.
Neg on the peg.
Neg on the peg.
Sure.
Hulslander for $6 says, that's why I keep saying we need to suspend the legal protection for progressive Sitch. They are all terrorists that will use their institutional power to destroy our nation. If Trump wins, no punishment is too great for them. Wow, Hulslander. I think that's pretty extreme, and I hard disagree. So I don't think that's the way to. I think if you were to go down that route, you're just going to create open, violent rebellion. So
Yeah, I have a most people who are kind of going for violence, you're either you've never experienced violence or you're psychotic. Like that's kind of how I look at that.
we're just going to create more violence too for
Yeah.
everyone down the road. So
Mhm.
take the Hamas strategy. A Fungus Among Us, thank you so much for the $50. Thank you. Says a blast of a stream last night, suspense, analysis, and drama from the election, and a heartwarming surprise from Sammy and Sitch. A cherry on top for the winners, and the sweet sweet consolation for the losers. I'm glad. Listen, that was the whole point. Okay, that was the whole.
It was
point.
great. Yeah,
we did it for you. Me and Sammy only got together for you, chat.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I don't have to play stupid anymore, which is nice.
that is nice. Goshnik for $5.84 says some free will money from lovely, peaceful country of Russia. Love your work and looking for 4 more years with S-Class and A-Team. Well, thank you. Look at that.
sweet. I'd love to do it.
Speaking of Russia, did you guys follow up on the Lauren Chin stuff going on right now?
No,
Wait,
what's going on?
Dev
with that?
talked about it.
Yeah, it kind of took a back seat because the election, but she went in front of whatever their version of parliament or whatever. Yeah. And just got grilled for 2 hours and basically had the same response over and over about not commenting on everything. Like I wouldn't comment on her name being Lauren Chin, all this stuff, which could just be legal advice. But
I talked about it a little bit yesterday when Dev came on, which was that it was disappointing because I thought it was going to be something interesting. I thought we were going to learn anything interesting, and she just no commented throughout the entire process. Which, to be fair, she said she was no commenting until the American investigation was over, and that's probably the smart move. So, as boring as it is for us.
RFK supports single-payer healthcare system.
Wow, look at that. How that would be hilarious if Trump pushed for a single-payer healthcare. I think there's about a 5% chance something like that would happen. So,
should people be required to work to receive Medicare or Medicaid? He says no. The vast majority of people who receive Medicare are Medicaid or disabled.
Look at that. What a
What's the difference between Medicaid and Medicare?
Medicaid is for lower income people that can't afford it of any age group, and Medicare is for people over
old people.
65 or whatever the age is.
Yeah.
Solid for $2 says the keys haven't been discredited. Lichtman's interpretation of them was he said Trump has no charisma and that there was no social unrest despite the campus occupations because Kamala quelled them. Yeah, no, those are good points. Those are very good points. Dr. Dealer for $2 says it occurred to me that spending most of my campaign budget on super chats, you guys, is probably not the best use of it or legal. Look, if the Alphabet Boys ask, you've never heard of me, and likewise.
You're safe with us. Yeah.
Yes.
We're not going to narc you off. That's not our style.
You're not going to narc him off?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound right.
Narc you?
You don't know what a narc is?
You off. No, you said narc you off.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to narc on you. Yeah, not going to narc on you.
You say I'm not, like, let me narc you off, baby.
He narked me so hard.
What's going on here?
What do you think narc means, Sitch?
Narc means to rat on somebody.
It's not jack you off, okay?
I know, but you don't say I'm gonna.
That's something completely different, okay?
You said narc you off.
Narking someone off is.
I've never heard it in that
tattling on them.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
Jacking someone off. That's when you grab their thing.
Yeah, when you get a hard narking.
A hard narking, yeah. Okay, let me go try to figure out because I was all over the place.
I know this is going to be a horror show, isn't it?
A disaster, yeah. But I'll try to figure it out where we were.
It'll keep it exciting.
Okay, I think this is where we stop. Metal Rules 81 for $5 says the bill was better than nothing? Talking about the immigration bill. Why doesn't anyone speak about HR2 that passed the House with no Democrat support and Schumer left it on his desk? Well, probably because that bill was just like the Republican dream ticket, and the other bill was the compromise bill that both Republicans and Democrats wrote together. So I imagine that's why the conversation is framed that way.
Compromise.
I know, how terrible. RBGH fan for $5 says the word isolationist sounds like a smear that corporate Dems use when we have more military bases than all other countries combined. It's not possible. Listen. It is a smear, and you're all dirty, dirty isolationists. I'm fucking pro world police. We got to have American soldiers police the world everywhere, okay? You've been giving countries too much latitude this whole time. We got to pull back the choke chain.
Oh my God,
Corbito for $5 says the Republicans are playing a 12-year game, the Democrats an 8. Just because it takes a few years doesn't mean we wouldn't create the economic conditions now. All right. Degenerate 357 for $10 says, why do we have to pay $10 billion to wars to get $20 billion to protect our country's borders? Yes, I really want the border fixed, but I don't want to heavily support wars just to get it. Fuck the border bill. I think I might have read that one yesterday, but I mean, again, it was the Republicans that wanted those things tied together. It wasn't the Democrats. So they wanted to have the border bill tied in with the giving money to countries overseas. They're the ones that asked for that.
Is that just blame the Republicans? It's the Republicans' fault.
Well, if you don't like that the border bill was tied together with the funding, quote, foreign wars bill, that is
Blame the
literally
Republicans.
100% the
Yeah.
Republicans' fault. They're the ones that asked for that, not the Democrats.
Right.
So,
We had a ballot measure that was all about state authority over border crossings and stuff that passed
Mhm.
pretty substantially here in Arizona.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
The real host for $5 says, hey, Sitch and Adam, hope you're doing well. Where do you stand on the Israel enemy of humanity conflict at this point? What do you mean? I don't know. I'm not sure what you mean by Israel enemy of humanity.
Yeah,
conflict.
I disagree wholeheartedly.
So
I like Israel because Israel is a democracy in the Middle East. So, or a republic, however you want to, limited democracy, republic,
Right.
whatever you want to call it. So, and I like those values.
Yeah, it seems to have more Western values than some of the other kind of theocratic states there.
They have a
Yeah.
security issue that they're having a terrible time dealing with, but I think a little more occupation, a little less violence is probably going to work.
It doesn't mean you have to support all the things that their government or leadership does. It's just, we look at principles and values
Right.
of the actual state.
Yeah, I support Israel as like a country and as a concept. I don't have confidence that Israel is doing the right thing currently, militarily, that they're really doing due diligence to not kill innocent people, that I believe Netanyahu is 100% going to try to drag the war out for as long as humanly possible. So
By the way, did you guys see that a squirrel ran across the stage on Kamala's concession speech broadcast?
I did. I pointed it out. I
Oh,
pointed
did
it
you?
out.
I must have missed it.
Right, it was right before you came in. So, yeah. So,
What do you, if the Gaza situation turns into just a peaceful occupation, is it still going to be classified as war and Netanyahu can remain in power?
I'm sorry, I was reading something. I missed what you said.
Can Netanyahu remain in power with the Gaza situation once it's not an active combat zone?
No, I don't think so. Because people still blame him in Israel for allowing October 7th to even happen in the first place.
Well, he's super unpopular too with a lot of different. It was just this conflict and the people's faith in not letting I guess.
But there's some law that's in effect that they can't even seek to replace him as long as they're in some sort of military conflict. So
interesting. Yeah,
that
so he's
makes
gonna try
him
to
want
drag
to
it out.
prolong it. Yeah, exactly.
Right. That's why he's been trying to start shit with Iran and Lebanon and Syria.
Yeah, he's
literally
like,
everyone. So
take care of everyone so I can stay in power. But
Do you
I'm just
think
if
that's going to be counterproductive to Trump though in his messaging.
it definitely will be. I don't know what Trump's going to do about it.
Yeah, piss him off, right? Because he's promising peace and everything.
Right. It will be interesting because Trump is all like, I'm the most pro-Israel candidate ever, but he's also saying that purely his presence alone will bring peace to the region. So those two things might come into conflict with each other.
And they had conflict over the Abraham Accords before any of this happened, before October 7th happened. So it's not like they're besties or anything.
Right. Also got to point out in the chat, Shu, don't listen to Sammy. Sammy is 100% a simp. So
A simp
for
what,
me.
though? Oh, she's your simp.
Uh-huh.
Jesus. I can't find where you're. I mean, these super chats are just.
Don't even try to find it. So
I want to follow along.
Okay, good luck. Burger Dan for $2 says big brain voting strat. Vote for the coolest name. There you go. Let's go one. Alex Wright for $5 says wrong track and issue polling is atrocious for an incumbent, was talking about Twitter at him. She can't win without issues to counter immigration and economy.
Oh, I found it. What's up?
Find it?
I did.
Nice. Okay. William Vance for $20. Oh, I read that one already. Ryan Wolf for $5 says, you guys could maybe get Rob Noor to come chat later tonight. I think he's streaming later today. Also, maybe a Doomer surprise appearance. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I assume Doomer would be very upset about the.
Yeah, he was going pretty hard.
Yeah, what was that all about? Jeez.
I don't know.
Oh, really?
I asked him if he was trolling, but he said he said he wasn't, and I was just whatever. I'm gonna leave it alone. So
he seemed very distraught over the Trump situation.
He was getting into it with.
He
people,
was talking about rapists and
calling people traitors and.
Oh my God!
Like I said, like I don't know, like he likes to troll, so I was kind of chalking up to that. So we'll, you know,
interesting.
Sometimes,
but does he like to do meth? That's the question.
Oh, you got to hold off the meth,
right?
Especially when you're in chat.
Yeah.
Actually, for $5 says, glad you are looked into electoral college census thing. Thank you, Sitch. You're welcome. And look, it didn't even matter whatsoever. So
thank God.
Yeah, thank God. That would have been horrible.
Ugh.
The Real Hulk for $10 says, didn't AOC say after 2016 that we should make a list of everyone who voted for Trump? Also, I'm sad Kamala is the lefty running and prefer an abolish the police candidate. She said something. What was she made some weird comment about re-education camps or something, didn't she?
She did say something about a list of Trump voters.
She did.
Yeah.
She did, yeah. Like, we need to educate these people correctly.
Did you see the clip of her complaining about how she didn't want to go? She didn't want to go 4 years in the opposition party under Trump. She was just like, oh my God. Nightmare.
Lethal Train for $5
come true.
I bet. Lethal Train for $5 says, don't work with Russians on space exploration. Did we forget about the International Space Station? I guess we did. Real Holtanian for $2 says, I thought it was because he wanted a subsidy. I don't remember what that was in relation to. Tom Waiting for $5 says, the Hill did election predictions. The new lefty girls predictions made me fall out of my chair laughing. Yeah, we checked them out.
We covered them, yeah.
No, the gnome should I can't even say it anymore.
They made Robbie fall out of his chair too. It was hilarious.
Yes, yes. The Real Holtanian for $5 says, no, Sitch, that's what interns are for. I'd like to make all college grads work in a coal mine or something for a few years would build character. Terrible. Hayden Dill for $2 says, video was amazing, Dev. Chatters be ringing at it. There you go.
That's a 4-hour Trump stole the election video, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Which probably is worthless today.
Well, it's informative, you know.
It's so informative, yeah.
Yeah.
And who knows? Listen, Adam, that might come up again. We'll see how the next 4 years go. We'll see.
It might be relevant. You never know.
It might be relevant more than we like. Okay. Who knows? Kingslayer.
Is it stolen now? I don't know.
Is what stolen? This election was not stolen. No, I don't believe so.
Well, if all the cases were dismissed, do we know that the law was broken?
Well, I guess you're correct in that it will probably never be adjudicated by the courts now. So.
Yep. He just borrowed an election, Sitch. You know, he borrowed it.
He borrowed it. He took out a loan, and now he's getting it back, right?
He borrowed it.
He loaned it to the Democrats, I should say.
Borrowed it for a few hours and returned it.
Of course.
Unharmed.
Kingslayer Damocles for $5 says, what do you think would have a bigger effect if the Democrats became pro-gun or if Republicans became pro-choice? Pro-choice Republicans.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Or my God for $2 says Trump won 2020, no doubt. I'm pressing F to doubt on that one. M8566 for $20. Thank you. Says we made it to election day. Are you guys ready to watch 30% of the country lose their minds and declare this is the end times? Yes.
Yes.
Well, we don't have any riots yet, so that's good, at least.
Oh, it'll be on Inauguration Day.
You think?
Like right now, it's just settling in. What are the 5 steps of grief? Right now, they're in denial.
Denial.
Yeah. They gotta make sure all their Molotovs are ready to go.
I know. I texted my dad a bit this morning, and he didn't seem too crazy about it. So
I texted my mom, but she didn't respond. I hope she's not upset with me.
He's still in denial. She's talking to the attorney, J-Mac. Someone better watch out.
Libertarians Ask Squad for Joe says, thanks for the Canadian perspective. Next cast. Ooh. Gaming Trucker JS for $5 says, boo hoo dev, boo. Wow. Ashi for $5 says, another hour-long discussion on January 6th. Please, no! Yes. Legal Strain for $5 says, I'm not hiring a tax attorney for murder charges. Of course you want a constitutional scholar. Well, but there still is a difference between, like, if someone comes to Trump and says, hey, I have this idea, versus Trump explicitly trying to be like, we got to find someone to find a loophole. There's obviously a different intention there, right?
Yeah.
Karen
Give yourself
July
a good
for
ambulance chaser.
Right. Karen July for 5 Canadian says, Dev says it's bad that Trump hired a lawyer to look into the law to find something that'll help him. Do people actually listen to Dev? You're not. I think you're missing the point here. If you're talking about intentionality, obviously if it's framed as someone came to Trump and said, here is a loophole you can exploit, and Trump says, do it, that's very different than Trump saying, I need to find a loophole in the law that keeps me being president. Let me go find a lawyer to find a loophole. These are very different internal thought processes that would be important in adjudicating that legal case. So.
We need to deregulate this election.
Right. Oh my God, look at all the hate for Dev. Chad Summer for €5 says, Dev is coping so hard, it's increasing his mass to celestial levels. All the BS is swirling around him like the food he normally consumes in a day. Very mean, Chad. Come on.
Yeah.
Be nice.
I like Dev. He's a good guy.
Dev is based.
Yeah. I feel bad too, because I owe him a workout plan still.
There you go.
So.
Corbito for $5 says, why are we debating if it's wrong to find legal ways to win an election? He wasn't going to just roll over, but it wasn't legal. So listen,
we don't know that.
We don't have to get deep into it. I literally don't believe that anyone that said any of these things would ever have given the same leeway to
Democrats,
Biden giving the election to Hillary Clinton for the exact same reason. You all would be screaming bloody murder. So it's kind of ridiculous. MA566 for $5 says, have we answered the most important question of the election yet? Who did Adam vote for?
I left the top of the ticket blank. I didn't vote for either candidate.
No, Adam was supposed to vote.
I resisted voting for RFK because I was like, RFK's on the ballot? Really?
He was supposed to vote for Candace Owens to see if he could meme her into becoming a Nazi, and Adam didn't do his duty.
Did your ballot, Adam, say anything about him being withdrawn, or did it just have his name up there?
You just vote for him, yeah. I wondered how many people did vote for him. I assumed quite a bit, so.
Yeah, mine was
not
at the
enough
top.
to turn it to change the election, though.
Yeah, it had him on there for me, but it said withdrawn in parentheses next to his name.
Oh, that's good at least.
Did it really? Oh, and you had an Arizona ballot, though. I had a California ballot.
Yep.
I don't remember if he was on the ballot Florida because I didn't really look at the president. I just kind of skipped over that. I passed over the president. Gaming Trucker for $10. Thank you so much. Says, I voted for the bad orange man. There you go.
Look, it was
Corbito,
you.
I know. Corbito for $2 says, didn't Jefferson enslave his own kids? Listen, you got to build character in this world, okay? And what better way of building character than making your children, work the fields?
All his kids?
As a parent, like, kids are basically just slaves at a certain age.
Exactly. Fondue for $5 says, ask coworkers if they voted, if they voted and who for. So far, it's 100% Trump, and they're mostly Hispanic, although not many know about the electors scheme. Yeah, I'm assuming none of them do, but yes. Kevin Walter for $10 says, January 6th was caused by a perception of a stolen election. People went to bed Tuesday night 100% sure that Trump won and woke up Biden. Then they were banned from social media for talking about it. I mean, I agree there was too restrictive banning about it. And as Adam pointed out, the media didn't do the best job at dispelling some of the myths and disinformation about it. So that definitely added to it. The problem is people wrongly trusted Donald Trump. And I even heard Scott Adams say this exact point, that they were operating under the idea that Donald Trump, as the president, had access to some kind of secret information that showed the election was stolen, when we now know, because we've literally heard interviews from every single person in Donald Trump's cabinet and the Attorney General office, that Donald Trump did not have secret information at all about the election being stolen and was literally just making shit up or believing Sidney Powell's stupid Kraken claims. So,
did you listen to Scott Adams today?
I did not.
Oh, okay. I contemplated it, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it.
I was just for the stream. I was going through all the MSNBC clips to see
right,
what was
mainstream media.
Right.
We all know what Scott Adams is going to say, right?
Yeah, the golden age is upon us. Save the
Right.
country. Yeah. Zombie Licorice for $10 says alternate electors used to be needed because of communication limits. States would learn of a rogue elector and they needed to send a replacement. So Trump did it wrong, but it isn't made up. Well, that element is, I agree with you, is wrong. The made up element is the concept that is completely made up, that the vice president has unilateral authority to throw out electors based on whatever the fuck he wants. So
Dictator for a day, just one day, January 6th.
That's all he needs, just one day.
The Wandering Swordsman for $5 says people are way too divided. If that doesn't change, we're doomed no matter who wins. I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Gaming Trucker for $10 says, I'm sure someone's going to watch it and break his arguments down. I don't know if that was in relation to Dev's video or not.
Probably.
Orca for $5 says, this is BS. I can destroy Dev's arguments in one single statement. Meow, 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 mulebug, meow, meow.
True. True.
There you go. I like it.
Annihilated.
Yep. Zerg1337 for 2 Aussie bucks says, sure, you're Dev Cine. Wow, look at this. No charity for Dev here. You guys got to be way more charitable to Dev. If Dev is like agreeing with you about, 95%, and then he comes off with one take, you guys don't can't immediately turn on him with the knives. Then you're no better than the NPCs.
Yeah, and it's okay to disagree. It's okay to just kind of be like, all right, well, I just think you're wrong and move on.
You guys are purity spiraling.
Right. Kevin Walter for $10 says January 6th wouldn't have happened if instead of banning people from the internet or talking about fraud, the contested states were audited, not recounted, audited, but Dems and media chose to gaslight. I disagree. Do you think if it doesn't really, this is how I look at it. It doesn't matter what the states did in terms of doing audits or recounts. Do you really think that if the states had done like an audit or something that was the appropriate audit that Donald Trump or someone wanted, do you think if they did an audit and they said, no, Joe Biden won the election, do you really honestly think Trump would have been like, oh, okay, well, I guess I lost. I concede the election.
It's not about Trump, though. It's about telling the voters.
It would have been nice too to get that reaction, because I don't know if that wouldn't sway everybody for sure, but I do think there is a contingency of people that just don't trust the media and don't trust the establishment, that if they had to all right, fine, we'll we'll do this, we'll waste the time, we'll go through the motion and kind of play ball a little bit. I do think it would have reassured some people.
I know, I agree with both of what you're saying, but the issue is exactly what you said about people just don't trust. So if the state, even if it was a red state, did an audit, even if it was a red state where the governor and everyone in Congress voted for Donald Trump, which happened in a lot of these states that they're accusing of fraud, if they did a full audit, as someone on Twitter was making these claims wanted, and they said, look, we've done a full audit and we didn't find any fraud or not enough to change the outcome of the election, Donald Trump would not have changed anything he was saying, and people would have just said, oh, it's part of the conspiracy. As long as Donald Trump is the person saying it's fraudulent, the majority of people would just believe it's fraudulent, unfortunately.
You think instead of walking them through exactly how ballots are cast and showing them the process and all that stuff, that wouldn't have been as effective as them just saying Donald Trump is a liar, you can't trust him, there's no problem.
It would have been more effective in that it would have peeled off, probably total vibe check here, it would have pulled off 5 to 10% of the people making the fraudulent claims.
Well, that's 5 to 10% better than nothing.
I agree they should have done it. I'm just saying it wouldn't have had a major impact on a lot of the perspective in the Republican Party overall.
I think Trump's claims gained ground because the media just was so dismissive about it. All they did was say Donald Trump is a liar. He's an insane liar. He lies more than anything.
Here's the problem, and I've been saying this forever, and I mean, you've agreed I thought you agreed in a different context, which is that if there's no, here's the problem with that. If at that point, there was already no trust in the mainstream media by people on the right because of the Fine People hoax, because of all the other shit of attacking Donald Trump. So if that same media apparatus does a step-by-step logical, this is how the votes are cast and why it couldn't be fraudulent, those people weren't going to trust anything that the media said.
Yes. You have already said 5 to 10% you think could have been persuaded.
Yeah, which is better than nothing. And they should have done it just for the sake of reality. I agree, but
and people being able to go back and feel some confidence in their electoral outcome.
Right.
Wouldn't it be nice to have Democrats pointing to that going, yeah, look, like you're explaining it to the people who want to believe it. So when the next election comes along, they're not going, oh my God, this was stolen from me.
And some of these states, 5 to 10%. I mean, that would have been the numbers you needed to go for Kamala. So I mean,
these elections are like a black box for people. They really are. They have no idea how it's done. So,
right. Sketch for $5 says Dev needs to adopt the quote, "My source is I made it the fuck up" mindset for 2025. Obviously. Corbito for $5 says let's base the electoral count off of voter turnout. Brian Schultz for $5 says we have unlikable TV personality, an unlikable district attorney. We need candidates like Adam, A-Team Friended, and Sitch, S-Class Shadow Man.
that would be great.
True.
Look, we want to run for office, right, Sitch?
Yeah.
Give us the power.
Zerg1337 for 5. Aussie Buck says, wait, so you're saying illegal immigrants are giving them extra electoral power? It's interesting because it either is yes, illegal immigrants were giving Florida and Texas extra electoral power, or because we actually don't know, or it was just legal Hispanics who were afraid of the government because of all the illegal immigrant talk or all the anti-Hispanic talk from the media and Trump at that time period didn't really want to answer the census. So it could be one or the other. We actually don't know the specifics on that one. Satan for $5 says, reminder, Doomer has never had a correct thought at any time, and the one thing people liked the Vosh video was just a collection of others' arguments. I disagree. Doomer has some correct thoughts about some things. And the Vosh video was good. M8566 for $5 says, look, Kamala's going to pin her hair back, put her head down, and get to work, and she won't stop until the job is finished.
Oh, my God. I was thinking that as she was saying that.
Does what she does best.
Yeah.
Get to work.
PI for $2 says, I would have Dev if it was my job, you goober. There you go. PI for $5 says, I want revenge, Sitch. I lost a friend on a deployment and saw Afghanistan fall when I was there. It's both sides. They should all pay. Well, I agree, or I understand, I should say, with the Afghanistan deployment or pullout of Afghanistan was such a fucking, is probably, in my opinion, in the top 3 list of just completely horrifically bad things that Biden did. It could be the number 1 top thing of just the completely horrific things that Biden did at his presidency. And it's just, we never really had full accounting for completely corrupt reasons as to why, investigation into why the pullout was such a fucking disaster. And there was a lot of finger pointing at Donald Trump. I don't know if Donald Trump would have done the pullout any better. I'm not confident in that, but that's kind of an irrelevant whataboutism that people throw out to defend Biden. It was a complete disaster, and he should be held accountable for it.
Yeah.
Nomad for $5 says, going out to vote, guys. Wish me luck.
Good luck.
Kevin Walter for $5 says, he so obviously meant, quote, I shouldn't have lost, so bad faith. Yeah, I interpreted it that way as well. Fondue for $5 says, few minutes behind, I was okay with Dev, even as he's getting heat with Trumpers in chat. I cut him off after he broke his rule on making VTuber drama. Well, that's what's really important.
The VTuber conversation.
Lethal Strain for $2 says, Aiden Ross bet $1 million on Trump. Well, it looks like Aiden Ross is $1 million richer, where XQC lost $700,000. So I'm sure you all saw the clip of XQC hastily before the turnout, buying out because his vote for Kamala did not look like it was going to win. So,
wow.
Lethal Strain for $5 says Trump wins, Harris invokes the 25th and becomes the first female president. Oh, now that's thinking with portals. Look at that.
People have been talking about that.
Yeah, I like that. That's smart. Listen, she wants to be the first female president, be in the history books. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
She's been saying all along, he's fine. He's fine. He's fine. He's fine. As soon as the election's over, he's not fine.
President Biden fell down some stairs. You see, she's like holding like a bust of Teddy Roosevelt with blood on the back of it. Guess I get to be president for a month.
Wow. That's some desperation, right?
Right. Oh, let's see. I read those.
There's some funny Trump and Biden memes that have come out today that have been very amusing.
Yes, there was the whole Biden
calling each other and
I was the last vote for Trump, Kamala.
All right, went just as planned. Thanks, Joe. Could have done it without you.
Right. Kristen Brandon, thank you for the $6 says, when you guys do movie Bob, who is a political lolcow, can we just kill the culture wars?
Yes.
Is
Yeah.
Movie Bob even? I don't think he's even relevant, even as far as locales are concerned anymore.
Does he even make content? I don't even know.
He does. I know EFAP
Mhm.
covered one of his videos, but I think it was actually older. So I don't know.
Right.
He's
He
always good for a
responded to
laugh, but not relevant.
He responded to one of my tweets one time, and I totally tried to get him on the show. So
Movie Bob, really?
Movie Bob did. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah, that was a while
whoa,
ago.
it's Movie Bob.
The last time he was relevant was the what's her name? Lindsay Ellis.
Yes, that might have been the tweet he responded to, because we did cover that.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that Lindsay Ellis drama was delicious.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes, it was good.
Yum,
that was
yum,
some
yum.
good
Oh
stuff.
my God, Movie Bob's still making content.
Of course he is.
Look at this.
Oh, he's
I
got to be
mean,
seething right now.
not getting any views, and it's just about movies, but okay, interesting. CS Pathy for $20 says, "Oh, I'm sorry. So J-Mac gets special treatment just because he's your biggest and most loyal supported friend. Kind of rude, not gonna lie."
Okay.
What can I say? Money talks, okay?
It's politics.
It's politics, baby.
3Megan3 for $5 says, "I live in Massachusetts and I didn't need an ID. I literally just walked in. I could have said I was anyone. It's crazy."
Wow. No wonder it's all blue up there.
There you go.
It's really strict here in Arizona, which is it's nice to see. So
right,
at least where I'm at.
Wouldn't you
remember
like
when
to
they
see a
passed-
media response to that, Sitch?
A media response to what?
Like why he's able to do that?
Oh, because there's no restriction. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Hmm.
No, but I remember when they passed the Arizona laws, it was a while ago, for voter ID, and everyone was like freaking out about it, saying it was horrible, blah, 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 blah. It's like, whatever. I don't know if that's required in Florida, but whenever, well, I did a mail-in, but when I did go in person, they always asked me for my driver's license. So, Oxy for $2 says, "Base JMac abortion take." Nice. Senior for $5 says, "Continuing a previous super chat, Trump wins, Harris 25th Biden. Harris appoints Liz Cheney VP. Cheney refuses to accept Trump's electors." That's pretty funny.
Oh, wow.
Fondue for $5 says, "Ha, all this time getting crap from my mom for picking out onions from my food. I have been vindicated." Yeah, that was in response to the potential onions causing E. coli at McDonald's. Yeah.
Yeah, listen, don't leave your onions out, guys. Those things are like sponges for bacteria.
Are they really? Wow.
Oh yeah.
I love
They're very
onions.
porous. Yeah. Ryan Uhl for $5 says, "The election has already been decided. Mu Dang has chosen Trump." Well, Mu Dang was proven correct today.
God, did you see people going crazy? It's like is the indication that some people really need to just log off when you're mad at a Chinese hippo.
Wait, people were literally mad at
there were people like, yeet this motherfucker, or that's it, you canceled.
It's
so
probably
cute.
just they're just
you
mean.
know what? I hope you are right.
Okay. Joe the Maker $5 says, happy how I learned to love the bomb or January 6th Part 2 election boogaloo day. There you go.
Nice.
Joe the Maker $5 says, "If you don't use the military time 24-hour clock, you don't deserve to vote. Abolish AM and PM and never set your alarm again." No,
Screw that. No, as soon as I was out of the military, I immediately reverted back to my regular 12-hour time.
Yeah. I don't like the 24-hour clock. I think in Japan it's like they all use it all the time. It's terrible.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I can read it. I just anything that reminds me of my slave days. Slave to the state.
Makes sense. Angry Bell Sprout for $5 says, "Didn't Arizona have a big problem with ballots not having signatures in 2022? Also, what's JMax AFCS SC?"
That's my Air Force job. I came in originally as EOD, which was explosive ordnance disposal, and then but I washed out. I failed, and so I got reclassed into egress technician.
Was the EOD, is that like the Hurt Locker people?
It's the Hurt Locker, which, by the way, is a horrible movie. Very inaccurate.
Why would you want to do this?
Because Sitch, you might not know this, but I am quite the adrenaline junkie. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. What's wrong with Hurt Locker? I like that movie.
There is a lot of inconsistencies. There's a lot of things that happened in that movie that if you even have the slightest information or knowledge about how EOD is performed, it's like it makes you cringe.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming they're just doing it for the drama.
Of
the
course,
story, right?
100%. But it's like anything. If you watch your job or profession acted out
Correct.
in a movie,
Yes.
like the
Right.
slightest inconsistencies are just
You're
gonna
like,
piss
that's
you
not
off.
how it happens.
Exactly.
Right. OCR for 10 Aussie Bucks says Harris is doing well with the older Alzheimer voting bloc who they think they are voting for Obama again. Wow.
That's good.
Good. Doug for $10 says work is done. It's time to start the selection night by voting for either Jack Daniels or Sam Adams. Sam is more moderate, but Jack might have given us the kick we needed in these trying times. Yes, thank you.
I wonder which it was.
Oh, I think I read some of these. So
Yeah, I remember that
jumping
one.
around. Yeah. Let's see. There's Adam using a different Adam using a different browser, not pull a Vosh. Yes,
Fake
that's
news.
true. Read all of these. If I skipped any of your guys, let me know. Try not to skip anything. Flocky VT2 for $2 says Florida passed voting security laws. It's got to be more to it than why Florida is so quick at counting. It's not just security. I know they count the mail-in ballots like early, but it's got to be more than that.
It was the Bush Gore election. They didn't want to be, they didn't want that hanging over their head. They got enough bad reputations.
Oh no, yeah, of course. It was after that they got their shit together. But I mean, they had problems. They had problems in Pennsylvania last election. They didn't get their shit together this time. So.
Yeah.
Top Shot 501st for $5 says Libertarians getting less votes than the Green Party in Florida is kind of insane. Is it? I mean, I feel like the Green Party, I don't know. I just feel like the Green Party as a third party is way more well known than the Libertarian Party. So.
Well, Oliver wasn't a good candidate either. Like a lot of libertarians did not really like him. And
they were pretty woke, weren't they?
Not only just woke, but just super wishy-washy. Like even like Gary Johnson, whom I voted for in 2016, he was kind of a wet noodle, but he was still very he was the standard libertarian in that sphere. And it's like it's almost like the third party candidates. You have one that's more like the left-wing libertarian, you have one that's more like the right-wing libertarian, and they both were kind of the left-wing libertarian. So I think Jill Stein being the more familiar candidate, people just kind of either went for her or went for Trump or didn't vote.
English Doc for $10 says I wouldn't have anyone else commemorate one of the most important elections of my lifetime to date. Keep on bussing you two, Trump 2024. Well, thank you.
That's a great endorsement right there.
It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Let's see. Jared for $5 says I challenged an Irish person on their political beliefs once. They're not Republican or Democrat. They're just Irish. Okay.
Sure. Whatever that means.
Black Hat 0061 for $5 says in 2016 I watched Jim's election stream. In 2020 I watched Dev's stream, and this year I'm watching yours. Great show so far. S-Class is the best class.
That's great. Look at
Thank
that.
you.
That was
$2 says
on
Chris.
for a bit.
That's right. Stug for $2 says Christian Baller, your cat is adorbs. It was
yes.
I read that one. Herb Walker for $5. Thanks so much. Says first super chat ever. Love you guys. Y'all keep me centered. S class is the best class as always. I just like A-Team as a friend.
Oh, that's okay.
That's pretty funny. Read those. Fondue for $5 says, will we get a lefty pundit rage compilation like the good old days? Maybe. I'm trying to be a little bit more positive. Not just because I saw J-Max tweet. I woke up this morning and I was trying to be a little more positive. So, but
and
maybe.
they deleted all their streams.
They did. So, but maybe, I don't know, maybe tomorrow will be the day for salts.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. Angry Bellsprout for $10 says, how hard are the ballot printers working in Fannie Willis's office right now? Not well enough, obviously. So
I don't know if you remember, but at the beginning of the stream, Anna did say that it's going to be 4 years of hyperbole about Trump, just out and out lies that we're going to have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think the usual suspects are just going to fall into that pattern again. So,
right.
Do you think this will kind of open the door for a lot of independent left-wing commentators to kind of come up and be more, I guess, moderate or more sensible?
I'm not sure. I think people just, they want that rage bait. They get totally addicted to, the crazy thing that Trump said and how they spin it into him being a fascist dictator.
Yeah,
they're going to spend
sure.
immigration. Whatever immigration gets passed, they're going to spend into. Racism. Yeah.
Michael Struckman for $5 says A-Team reigns supreme and S-Class is best class. Tonight we need unity.
Nice. We got some unity.
Fondue for
And
$5
Sitch
says it's
playing a lot of grab ass, but that was cool.
That's true. Fondue for $5 says it's okay, Sitch. Mixing up Biden and Harris is an easy mistake to make. Yeah, thank you.
Did you do that?
I kept saying Biden instead of Harris last night.
Oof.
M8566 $5 says, oh my God, Sitch, did you not pay attention to Florida in 2022? It's a red state now. I mean, I've been saying Florida is a red state and not going to switch since, I think, 2016. So I just didn't expect, what I didn't expect was Miami-Dade specifically to go so red. That was very surprising. I don't remember if they went red in the midterm, but that's usually not accurate. So Miami-Dade has been one of the blue strongholds, biggest blue strongholds in Florida for a while. Floki VT for $2 says Minnesota is slowly Republican. Funny if Walz loses his home. I believe he hung on though, right? Minnesota went for Harris.
Mm-hmm.
Fondue for $2 says Adam has been bamboozled, tricked, and hoodwinked.
What does that mean?
I don't remember. Hermie Kid for 50 Donkey Kong dollars. Thank you. Says, hey, longtime VOD viewer, caught you guys live. Sitch's TDS and Adam's KDS makes this the ultimate enlightened centrist stream. Love both of you guys. Well, thank you.
That's awesome.
Floki VT for $5 says some have a social spectrum and totalitarian spectrum separate. In this case, he is right, but this would be the up-down on the traditional compass. Oh, this was on the that
authoritarian libertarian.
The John Birch Society video, yeah.
Right.
JMac on that video for $20. Thank you, Jay. Said this is why quadrants are way more useful than a pure left-right spectrum.
Right.
True.
Yep, I agree. That's why I said it.
Stock for $20 says this is why octants are way more useful than a pure left-right up-down spectrum. There you go. Take that. Fuck your quadrants. We got octants now.
And look, he responds, yes, I'm being a dick.
Yeah, based. Fondue for $2 says you can tell it's bad because the music is ominous. True.
Oh yeah, this is definitely the video.
Oshazi for $5 says Virginia counties near Fairfax kind of interesting. She's underperforming Biden by about 5 points in 99% counted counties. Yes.
Uh-oh.
Contrast for 5 Aussie Bucks says Adam, hearing about that abortion nurse sounds horrifying. Kind of makes me feel sad now, to be honest. Good to look at pics of my kids now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that video. I contemplated, could we listen to this on stream just to see how far we could get?
There's another super chat coming up that I said. I was like, oh my God, you guys are, your dismissive tones were really just getting my jimmies rustled.
Oh, really? About abortion?
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Republic Democracy video still. I'm sorry.
No, that was about the abortion thing.
Oh, no.
That video sucked, Jay.
Look,
sorry, well, that's a bad
I would have constructed it a little more entertaining, and I would have probably had a different presentation personally, you know. And you guys only watched, what was that, part 2 of part 6? Come on.
Oh, okay. We got to watch the whole thing. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
M8566 for $2 says MSNBC called the disputed states sexist and racist. Not surprised.
Yeah.
I am very curious to see what the night hosts do tonight on MSNBC.
This is exactly what happened in 2016. I remember it well because I was so hopeful that there was going to be some reflectiveness, and it never materialized. There was like 2-3 days of people saying, we really have to listen. We're going to suffer electorally if we don't. And then it just went straight into identity politics. So that's my prediction now.
We'll see. I hope not. Overseer's Logs for $5 says 112 out of 133 precincts have reported in Virginia. Trump and Kamala are very close by essentially a precedent according to Virginia Department of Election results. Well, obviously that means it was stolen in 2020. Okay. JMac for $10 talking about us shitting all over his John Birch Society video. Well, there you go. Fadu for $5 says, had to look into it, but quote, Republican comes up exactly once in the Constitution. So 1-0, suck it, Democrat tards. There it is.
Democrat tards.
To be fair, I think
Demo tards is better.
That's true. Were they saying Republican or were they saying Republic? So maybe that
The
was
public thing. The law.
There you go. The public thing. Stacy Pastry for $5. Thanks so much. Says, why is the left unable to count? I hope whoever wins both the Electoral College and the popular vote. Well, you got your wish. Ace for $5 says, Destiny has lost all self-respect. He is streaming this election with Amaranth. This is what sex addiction, and no shame does to a man. I mean, I think it was just a way to bait people into watching the stream, but
did she even say anything
weird.
substantive? I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of coverage, but it didn't seem like really she had any input.
I don't know. I don't know anything about Amaranth's political takes or why she was on the panel except to have her tits out.
I was going to say, I think she's known for different assets than the political ones.
That is true. Cameraman 502 for $5 says, I just need Michigan to go Kamala or else these lefties like Hassan accusing Biden of genocide will never shut up. Trump can sweep the rest. Well, Michigan did not go Kamala, so I guess they're not going to shut up, sadly. I don't know how these specific districts did that they were talking about that have the high Muslim Muslim populations are. Stug for $2 says, I hate the use of Schrodinger's cat for everything. But it's so good. It's so good, Stug. Don't be a hater.
Yeah, what about Schrodinger's dog? Why is it always his cat? I'm more of a dog person.
Because of the thought experiment.
No, because he's willing to kill the cat. He wanted to protect his dog. That's the answer.
It makes sense.
Mr. Ubercross, thanks so much, Mr. Ubercross, for $10. Says, sorry, I've been listening to Destiny's coordinator stream for a while. Hilarious. Anyway, Trump wins popular vote by 3. Dr. Diller for $5 says, please welcome Hispanics as the newest race of white supremacists. They are now more racist ethnicities than not.
True.
That's funny. That's funny. Floki VT for $5 says, what would be funny if that prediction from Worstradamus is actually Trump's end numbers, not Kamala's? Oh, wow. Yeah, if it was a total reversal, but that didn't happen. J-Mac, look at that. J-Mac for $20 says, I just heard a group of people at the gym cheering over Trump, probably the Pennsylvania flip.
It was. There's 3 guys doing, they're on the bench next to me. And this girl walks up with her phone and shows, and I can see the election map when she shows him. And he goes, yeah, man, what'd you expect? That's because he's got those guys in the bag. And that's all I heard. And I was like, okay, well, people are excited.
Wow.
Right. Angry Bellsprout for $2 says, look at the Montana Senate race. What happened in Montana Senate race? Ace for $5 says, Destiny has no principles. Rightfully point out Amaranth lying about abuse, but streams with her because he's too much of a coomer not to. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, if he, I don't remember his coverage on it, but there was all those abuse accusations. If he called her out for being dishonest and then that's all under the water under the bridge, then yeah.
Well, if he's falling under like the utilitarian prospect of having her on and the draw that will get, I don't think it matters to him.
Wood Whisper $5 says Kamala should have just walked to aid the polls and vote on that thing.
Oh my goodness.
Man.
They put walk to aid, but I assume they meant hawk.
I think the hawk to might be smarter than Kamala.
Walk to the polls.
Walk to okay, gotcha.
Walk to the polls.
Right. Girl Sarah for $5 says, this solo style punditry is boring and pedantic. My dad's watching Benny Johnson and he's acting like a hype man over unverified and low votes counted. Yeah, I mean, that's what a lot of people just want on election day. So Joe the Mick for $2 says, extremely fatigued. These people are just so weak. Stacy Pastry for $20. Thanks so much, Stacy. Says, Sitch face reveal if Trump wins 2025 is going to be wild. S-Class and A-Team are the thing. Sitch, do the sound. What's the sound?
What is the sound? Yeah.
The S-Class is best class. That's the only sound I know. But no, listen, I said last night, if Harris wins, I'll do the face reveal. And so sorry, guys. You didn't get your wish.
Never happened.
We'll get him next time, guys. 2028.
Yeah, you got 4 years, all right? I should have said that from the offset. I should have said, for all the Trump supporters in the audience, I will do a face reveal if Harris wins, just to add some like bittersweet conflict to your emotional core. All right.
Yep. More ups and downs on the emotional roller coaster.
Right. Renora Zorro was here for $10. Says, Sammy G, who's your favorite Straw Hat? Mine's probably Zorro or Robin. I believe she answered the chat and said Sanji. J-Mac, look, J-Mac right there for $20 says Sammy G is the American the Japanese imagine us to be. That's pretty funny. PC for $2 says, can Sitch and Sammy both talk at the same time? Yes. We need to figure out how to like set it up in the future so we can both talk without echoing each other. We kind of just like slap together that at the last second. So Ace for $2 says, don't compare Sammy G to that human blow-up doll. I don't know who that was in reference to, but okay. I agree.
Is it Amaranth?
I don't know. I don't remember that coming
Probably
up on stream.
was.
Maybe someone said in the
That's a
chat
good
or
guess.
something. Yeah. Dan Schneider. Oh no. Dan Schneider for $2 says she should show her bare feet. No feet reveal from Sammy. Okay.
No, right to bare arms, but not feet, guys.
There you go. Loki VT for $2 says decision desk called Georgia for Trump. His is at 242. Yeah, they were way quicker than the AP was. And Folky V2 for no $2 says the peanut vote is winning this. Malcolm McKee for 2 says Iowa is Trump +9. The Seltzer Iowa poll was BTFO'd. Yeah, that got completely annihilated. Dan Schneider for $2 says Sammy G, please show feet. I paid for it. Listen, you have to pay a lot more. Okay, $4 to get the Sammy G feet reveal.
Yeah, it's equivalent, if not more, than the dress fund. Okay.
Wow.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say $100,000 just to show her feet.
Well, no, because liking women's feet is way more degenerate than a man in a dress. Okay.
Is it?
I don't agree with
Look,
that.
As a man who's worn a dress, I'm gonna say yeah.
But wait a minute.
Out hard.
You wearing a dress because it's funny is very different than someone wanting a man to wear a dress because they're like
sexually aroused.
Well, yeah, but if you wore a dress, it'd be funny, Sitch. So if we're using that as our equivalency.
Well, yeah, but depends who's the one that's paying me all that money to do it. Are they just doing it because it's funny, or do they have some other nefarious purposes?
I don't know. People who like feet, I put you in the same camp of people who prefer Eufy. That's where we're at. So
that's fair. That's fair. Okay. Wonton Tiger for $10 says, I honestly expected to be closer. Kamala seems really likely to go down as one of the worst candidates ever. I should have bet more. Yeah, listen, we should have dumped a bunch of money on Trump. What a mistake.
Good for you.
Floki VT for $5 says, Adam, check decision desk. It's more accurate and what all the others use to base their decisions. Georgia was called for Trump there. Oshie for $5 says, calling Georgia is pure mature for sure. Atlanta counties are underreported right now. Well, turned out to be correct, though. J-Mac, look at J-Mac right there for $20 says, Sammy, did you see me call Sitch and Adam on Twitter? We got to get some dumbbells in those soft hands of theirs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Get your lift on. Get your lift on.
It's true. Very Dead Horse for $2 says, reveal yourself already, Sitch. LOL. Maybe. Don St. Louis for $2 says, Sitch lives in Sammy G's house and shadow. It's not untrue. Cameraman 502 for $2 says, Sammy, does your roommate know you voted for Trump? Sadly, I do. I was aware.
Wow. And you didn't
Malik,
even cancel out her vote this year.
I didn't even cancel out her vote. No. Not that it mattered in Florida, but Malik for $50. Thank you so much, Malik. Says, I know it's a bit early, but I'm calling it for Trump. Thank you, Sitch and Adam, for giving me enough enlightened centrist ammunition to push back against my leftist friends and family. When they ask how I knew she'd lose, I'll send them right to you. Well, thank you, Malik.
Great.
Appreciate
That's
it.
awesome.
Joe the Make for $5 says, Destiny Orbit finally eats itself to death over this election.
Wow.
Really? I haven't been following. I don't know any follow alerts, but
I feel like there was a bunch of stuff on there that would have been great to witness, but supposedly Destiny took the stream down.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, or privated it or something.
So I'm sure somebody recorded it and will re-upload a compilation of moments or something.
Yeah, we'll look for it.
Nomad for $5 says, oh my God, new Sitch lore unlocked. True.
Yes. True. Good lore, too.
Solidoge for $2 says, Sammy, it's never been easier to reveal Sitch doing it. I know. Listen,
we tried.
That's just right out of frame, okay?
We were trying to entice her to do that, but
no. Don St. Louis for $5 says, Sammy G and Sitch, also known as the SS to Sitch's mom. Terrible. Aussie for 20 Aussie bucks. Thanks so much. As I just checked Twitch, no ads running on politics streamers' channels. All of them flipping out, all blaming Harris for not being radical enough. Hilarious.
Wow.
Malik for $10. Thank you again so much for $10. Malik says Sitch is real. Sandwich. I don't know how I
Right.
feel about that combination of Sammy and Sitch. Sandwich.
Yeah.
MA56 for $2 says, I'm just here to ship Sitch and Sammy. Beautiful.
Ship has sailed.
The ship has sailed. JMac for $20. Look at that. Says, whoa, Sitch and Sammy know each other in real life? That's crazy, man. Well, look at you.
Shocking.
Nomad for $2 says, best show in the world. Thank you. Floki VT2 for $5 says, thank you. Floki giving a shit ton of money last night. If Destiny is in meltdown mode, do we need a welfare check for Hassan at this point, or his orbits? Anyone checked in on them? I am curious to see the Hassan and what's that? He has a bunch of orbiters, Denims and Frogan and the Pennsylvania guy. Wonder how they fared. M8566 for Jar says the left won't learn. Listen.
True.
Can be optimistic. Okay.
Pointless.
Oh my God. Dan
Another
Schneider
one,
with
I know,
another $2 says,
$6.
Sammy, show feet now, please. I'm paying $6. Listen, you're only $6 there. You got to keep paying, Dan. Okay. It's a lot more than that.
So whose idea was it to do the Sammy stuff? The both in the same thing.
I think it was my idea. I think.
You think?
I don't remember.
You
I'm pretty sure it was
think?
my idea. I don't believe Sammy would have come up with that on her own. So
Okay.
pretty sure it was my idea.
She's not smart enough to come up with something like that.
No, that's not it.
Is that what you're saying, Sitch?
I'm just saying she's a woman and women aren't. No.
You could say that. Trump won. It's okay.
That's right. Trump won. So I can, we get to take back the vote now.
Yeah, let your misogyny flag fly.
Exactly. Look at me being so mean.
Terrible.
For $20, look at that. JMac says, ironically, Sitch, Arizona codifying abortion in our state constitution passed. I'll move to Florida and you can move here. They're basically the same state minus an ocean or so. Wow, that's hilarious. Look at
Did
that.
you
I'll
get the
give
60% thing too, or?
Yeah, no, I was just checking today, and yeah, it's the amendment codification for the ballot measure passed for the abortion in our state.
Did it have to be a supermajority?
I believe it did get a supermajority.
Okay.
Let me see. Yep. Got a supermajority, 60% or higher.
I wonder if that's like a standard thing, because I think we had ballot initiatives that were like 56% that didn't pass. So
all of ours,
yeah.
There's only like one I think that it's like 58.2. It's not like the 60, but it hasn't. They're not all in, so I guess it's projected to go in. But yeah, our ballot measures were kind of interesting. Which ones passed and which ones didn't. So.
Well, I'm so sad about the legalizing pot thing. Jeez, so shitty. Eagle Shadox for $5 says Sammy G trolled and Yowie parodied her way into Sitch's arms. Honestly, respect. And that's my headcanon until y'all tell the tale yourselves. I mean, that's basically about the size of it, Eagle Shadox. I think that's correct. It's a correct framing of events. Don't let Sammy tell you otherwise, all right?
That's the assessment. Sitch was pretty bold last night about how quickly he wooed her. I remember.
Listen, you take a girl to Bubba Gut Shrimp once and she just melts in your arms, all right? Yeah. That's the technique. Lucy Lumbug, thanks so much for the $2, says, Sammy, turn the camera just a little bit. Shh. There you go.
Everyone wants a peek. Everyone's curious,
everyone wants a peek. Contrast for $2 says, wait, is Sitch's face the second guess? Yes, that's true. That was it. Nomad for $5 says, Sammy, now's the time to put Sitch in a chokehold in front of the camera. Do this and my soul is yours. Wow. Fondue for $5 says, nice try, guys. The real Sammy G would be in Tifa cosplay as is tradition, but deepfake technology is wild. There it is. I like your little American flag outfit.
Oh, it's cute as could be.
Yep.
Very
Nomad for... Actually, it was my idea because I remember I saw her. She came out wearing that outfit, and I'm like, Stream has to see this outfit. It's a good outfit. Nomad for $2 says Destiny lost. There you go. There's multiple implications. Adam Unfriended for $5 says, just for today, I'm siding with A-Team reigning supreme. I know how it feels to be the third wheel like Adam when there's a girl on stream. Wow.
It wasn't so bad. I enjoyed it.
Right. I read that one.
We got all the Bubba Gump lore. That was very
That's true.
interesting.
Yep.
That's true. Wait till you hear how I wooed Sammy. Okay, that's the real juicy lore.
Add it to
right?
the meme page.
We
Oh,
should
yeah,
set it
you're-
up where you come on and tell your story, and then she comes on and tells her story. But
Oh,
you guys
okay,
don't
gotcha.
collaborate on the story, so we can see
Right.
how
right.
Collaborate,
they
you mean clash.
diverge. Yeah,
She-
exactly.
well, if you listen to me, you're gonna get the true story. If you listen to Sam, you're gonna get the
Oh, is that it?
lies. Okay, yeah.
Is that it?
You're-
She's
you're
got
gonna
the
get the coke.
woman filter on.
Yeah, exactly. The real Holtz for $20 says just tuned back in. Is the election over? Also, did you read my early super chats? Well, we did today, Holtzonator.
Yes.
Babu Peck for $5 says doing my part to spread democracy while I listen. Oh, I voted earlier. Thanks for streaming, guys. I'm excited in a black-pilled way for tomorrow's outcry. Nice. Fire Everything Sputnik for $10 says love how Sitch and Sammy are together. Who cares about the election? LOL. Sammy gets Sitch the face reveal. We need to also make him make more videos. She's trying. Okay, she's been trying. Once a day, she makes fun of me for not making videos. Gaming Trucker for $10 says should watch ABBA take on the first Trump assassination attempt. It's very unhinged, including destroying his own arguments as the video keeps going. I know Sammy watches a lot of ABBA and Preach stuff. I kind of catch it secondhanded. And I remember she was telling me some drama about that, so I'll check it out. I didn't actually watch it.
Sitch, did you ever watch that that one channel I sent you? He was kind of covering some of the Sweet Baby Inc. stuff. I said he reminded me of your editing style.
Maybe
His
that
avatar
was a while
like
ago, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I can't remember what his
Yeah.
channel was, but yeah, the hectic meme style really reminded me of the good old Sitch days.
I'm gonna say I did watch it, but I don't remember.
That's fair.
Okay. Let's see. One armed biker for $10 says I got to get to bed here soon, but I just want to say I'm all for Sitch, Adam, and Sammy show going forward. That or Adam and Sitch and Sammy show. The ass show?
The ass, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
The sass and ass show. Yeah, there it is.
People have always
ass.
wanted. People have always wanted the ass show.
Oh my God. JMac for $20 says my wife just said she's going to donate some of the comics I bought to her library.
She did. She yeah, I bought a
She
lot
should
of
get the
comics too.
all nude cover.
She
For the library?
she said it's not a problem. They have an adult section, so
Oh
Based, look
wow!
at that.
Wow!
and I
Christian
I bought
Baller.
like 20 copies. So
Nice.
Beautiful. Look at that. JMac is the man. Christian Baller for $2 says Sitch and Sammy, the one true pairing. Confirmed. Confirmed, yes. PC for $5 says democracy might be on the line today, but at least all the Sammy and Sitch shippers can sleep well tonight. True. Zolo for $5 says Biden called Georgia, Atlanta to tell all the black voters if they don't vote for him, they ain't black. That's the
Right.
problem. They voted for Biden instead of Harris. It was a complete miscommunication.
gotta clear it up next time.
Yep. Vel for 10 Nazi dollars. Oh, I'm sorry, New Zealand dollars. Says now we really need a Sitch face reveal so we can just see how far he's punching above his weight. Much love from New Zealand. S class is best class. Okay, listen, I'll give you guys a little hint here. So, and Sammy can confirm this. When me and Sammy have been out in public, 3 times, this has never happened before in my life. 3 times people have said I look like this celebrity or have mistaken me for this celebrity. And it's very weird because I don't think neither myself nor Sammy think I look like this guy at all.
Mhm.
Or like maybe a little bit. Like I just look vaguely like a white guy. Okay.
Brad Pitt.
No, it's oh God, what's his name? They keep saying, "Oh, you look like this guy from the Netflix show You." I think it's the main character. I don't know what his name is. There's a guy on the show You.
Penn
Let's see.
Badgley.
No, it's Joe Goldberg. They keep saying I look like Joe Goldberg from You, and when he's clean shaven. And I look at this picture and I'm like, I don't think I look like this. And Sammy doesn't think I look like this. But 3 times in a row, people keep coming up to me. and
Clean
saying I
shaven?
look like this guy. Yeah.
I can see it. Yeah.
You can see it?
Yeah, I can see it. I can see
Okay.
it.
I don't think I look like him. I think you guys just see a white, vaguely Jewish guy. and you're like, oh, you look the same.
No. You know what though? I will say that your eyes are a lot more soulful. You know,
Thank
these are
you.
kind of empty and blank, but
Thank you. Okay, that's true. Both J-Mac and Adam have seen me, so they can weigh in on the Joe Goldberg comparison.
do you
I
know
can see it.
do you know the guy from the brother from Step Brothers, Derek?
Not off the top of my head.
He was in Parks and Rec. He's the
Oh yeah. He
I've
was in
gotten
The Good Place. He was the
Yeah.
asshole demon. Yes.
yes. I've gotten
Right.
on 3 separate occasions from 3 different people that say I look just like that guy too, and I don't see
I
it.
don't think you look like that guy
I
at all.
agree.
I don't
Adam
think so
Scott.
at all.
His name is Adam
I
Scott.
don't see that. No.
Yeah,
Okay. That's
I don't
interesting.
either.
Mr. Ubercross, thanks so much for $10. Says, folks, Trump is going to win the popular vote. Watch Rick Barris. This dude knows his stuff. He predicted this and has been spot on. Rich Barris. I'll check it out. I mean, if someone predicted this, that's pretty impressive. So good for him. Mr. Middleman for $2 says, you guys should check in on Josiah's stream. We did, yeah.
We did. Yeah, it was great.
Pretty depressing. Floki VT for $2 says, the surprise is all the states vote no rank voting. Now, was that on the ballot in some states?
A lot of people are very suspicious of rank choice voting just because they're unfamiliar with it.
Sodoge for $5. Thank you, Sodoge. Said, oh, I read that one. That was about which Orin High School host character was I? Luso for $20 says, when is the premiere of the Sitch and Sammy podcast? It was yesterday. What do you
Last
mean?
night, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. I read that one. I think we caught up. Did I read all these? I did. Perfect. Okay. Let me just check, see if any new ones came in. I'm sure they did. Well, I was gabbing the old ones. Let's see. George Gascon for $5 says, Sitch. Oh, no, I read that one already. SB Elite for $2 says, stop the count. Arizona, Nevada are still counting. Nobody cares.
Sadly.
Once it's over, no one cares. That's for sure.
Right. Damalus for $5 says, for me, the election was someone I wouldn't vote for versus someone I won't vote for. The lack of a Democratic primary really killed it for me. Yeah, I would be super interested to see if they can do some polling on people that didn't turn out, how much that really affected the overall vote count. So it's just
it'd
Abby
be
for $5.
interesting to see how many undervotes there were.
Right. How's my limbo ring game? I have no limbo ring game. Okay, I got those dark beady Jew eyes. Well, not beady, but very dark Jew eyes.
Soulful Jew eyes. And look, I hate to be a little stereotypical, but I don't think it matters as much for guys as it does for girls.
That is
Limbo
true.
rings? No way.
That's true.
Limbo rings are just as powerful for men.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I mean, girls like to talk about the
go
blue
nuts.
eyes. Got them piercing blue eyes.
They go nuts for the limbo rings.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
That's my one downside. My limbo ring game is very, very poor. It's just Addy 5 Aussie Bucks says the Democrats got nobody to blame but themselves. Biden should have dropped out early, like y'all said.
True.
Lives in Dev's Wall specifically for $5 says clear lesson: the most effective political strategy is to get Chris Chan to endorse your opponent and Photoshop them with his son and shoot medallion.
Chris Chan endorses
Terrible.
Kamala Harris for president.
It's just Addy for $2 says, have you all ever talked about the Chips and Science Act? I mean, we kind of briefly mentioned it. I'm assuming that was a thing where they wanted to not let China get any of the chips, the microchips. So
we've talked about it briefly, yeah.
Right. Then try to get the them building semiconductors in the U.S., which I think is super base, and we obviously need to do. I would imagine Trump is going to keep that going. I don't think he's going to get rid of it. The most dope for 19 months says, I know we want to embrace unification, but can we at least take this opportunity to berate them about abandoning wokeness? Why would we want to berate them about abandoning wokeness? Shouldn't we applaud them? What do you mean?
Encourage that. More of that.
Yes. David Kane for $5 says, hold the fuck up. Sitch does a face reveal and it's just more person of shadow. Adam, screw the president. Did you vote for slavery?
I did not.
Libertarian Sasquatch for $2 says, Kyle Kalinske already running with Matt Walsh 2025.
Oh,
I
that's
bet.
sad. That's very sad.
Yeah. Canadian Turtle for $5 Canadian says, I made a Donald Trump anime opening. I don't make animations on YouTube anymore, but I just want to show you guys for fun. Oh, sure. Where is it? I have like a trillion Twitter notifications, so you have to send it to Adam.
A
Something on
trillion?
Twitter. Yes.
Billions and billions.
I've got a billion. So yeah, send to Adam and we'll bring it up.
Yeah, sounds fun.
Let's see. Liz does Walt Disney for $5 says, I also like Dev JMac. Please get Dev a workout plan. He really needs to finally realize this short buff otaku.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. I do need to get on that. I've been doing some research and stuff. It's just different body types have different requirements. So yeah, I can't just copy and paste Sitches and send it to Dev. So
right.
You can't just say rule 1, get off your ass.
Nah, it's more difficult than that. You know, that's part of it, but
just park far away from the grocery store. That's what I always do. That's why it's so painful to return the cart.
Sammy sent here. I'll send to Adam. Sammy sent the cosplay pic of me, her, and JMac when we were cosplaying together.
Oh yeah, she's got those edited and stuff. So she's waiting to put them out there. So
You
look
can
forward
see
to that.
you can see how giant JMac is compared to me.
Have you been safely edited out of this?
You should put the little Sitch mask on my face.
Yeah.
But,
oh, she did.
So can't really tell much about me except I'm skinny boy. But I sent it to you.
I got it.
That was actually Sammy G's cloud cosplay I was wearing. So I got so many we got so many compliments on the all three of us got so many compliments on the cosplay.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. There's a lot of Final Fantasy VII rip.
Yeah, people really loved JMac as buff Eris.
I'm gonna do it again, and I've got another one I'm working on that's Final Fantasy 14 themed. So
right,
and she's a cat girl, so it will be even better.
Sammy says to tell you that she'll get to the merch picks this weekend. She's been slacking.
No, she's got it.
Okay.
I believe in you, Sammy. You got it.
Kid Truck 91 for $2 says, you guys see Obama's statement on the election? No.
Not yet.
What was the statement? Soldo for $2 says, Adam, I sent you Obama and Bernie's messages to rate.
Here is, it looks like Obama's statement. I'll send it to you.
Okay. Is it like a video? Is it just a text
It's like
statement?
a written statement. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll read it out. I'll read out while you bring up a beautiful picture. Barack Obama. Here's our statement on the results of the 2024 election. Over the last few weeks and through Election Day, millions of Americans cast their votes, not just for president, but for leaders at every level. Now the results are in, and we want to congratulate President Trump and Senator Vance on their victory. This is obviously not the outcome we hoped for, given our profound disagreements with the Republican ticket on a whole host of issues. But living in democracy is about recognizing that our point of view won't always win out and being willing to accept the peaceful transfer of power. Michelle and I could not be prouder of Vice President Harris and Governor Walz, two extraordinary public servants who ran a remarkable campaign. We will always be grateful to the staff and volunteers who poured their hearts and souls into electing public servants they truly believed in. As I said in the campaign trail, America has been through a lot over the last few years, from a historic pandemic and price hikes resulting from the pandemic to rapid change and the feelings a lot of folks have that no matter how hard they work, treading water is the best they can do. Those conditions have created headwinds for Democratic incumbents around the world, and last night showed that America is not immune. The good news is that these problems are solvable, but only if we listen to each other and only if we abide by the core constitutional principles and democratic norms that made this country great. In a country as big and diverse as ours, we won't always see eye to eye on everything, but progress requires us to extend good faith and grace, even the people with whom we deeply disagree. That's how we've come this far and how we keep building a country that is more fair and more just, more equal and more free.
How about a democratic norm of not calling your opponent a fascist? I think that would be a good idea.
Well, that wasn't too bad. I mean, he kept it pretty unifying. You know, we got to come together and work together.
I agree. I thought it was a good statement.
I have no forgiveness for Barack Obama for the
Okay.
He
Well,
hurt
I
you.
thought you were
I
team
know.
forgiveness.
for the Nazi thing.
Okay.
Yeah, he's gonna have to do better than that.
I thought you were team forgiveness.
Well, look, I'll forgive him, but I'm not gonna.
I don't like him.
His political look, I don't have any respect for him. That's the thing. I don't
Well, that's
respect him
fine,
as a
but-
politician.
Mm-hmm.
I think what he did was totally dishonest. I think he did it. It's so funny because it's the same exact feeling you have about the January 6th stuff because you say,
right.
Trump should have put the country before his own selfish, power hungry desires, right? And I think the same thing about people promoting everyone who votes for Donald Trump as a Nazi meme. I think they should put their own selfish, power hungry self-interest aside and do what's good for the country. It's not good to be calling half of the country fascists or fascist enablers.
Mm-hmm.
So fuck him.
Okay. A team is about forgiveness, Adam. Okay.
Look, I forgive him. I just don't have any respect for him.
Okay.
What?
Okay, that's fine. I'm not gonna read Bernie's. I don't care enough to read it. Grez Gore's non for £5 says not voting is cowardness. Life often is a choice between bad and worse. If you decide not to choice at all, how can you criticize outcome? Listen, you gotta watch Avatar. Okay, there's positive yen. Was it positive yen, negative yen, and there's yen and neutral yen. All right.
Yen, like money?
What was it? Was it yen or ying? I don't know. Whatever. Energy. Sometimes you gotta just wait.
It was like chi, basically. It was there. Yeah.
It literally only comes up that one time Boomy talks about it. No one ever mentions it again. So Renoro Zoro's here for $20. Thank you so much. Says Sitch, how's the workout going? Great. Have you tried kettlebells programming? Yes. As a fellow beanpole, I find it works better than barbell training myself. Yo, JMac, do you have any dish recommendations for protein meal preps?
Depends on what your goals are. I mean, there's lots of different types of protein. I personally like to find nutrition dense proteins, so like red meats and stuff that have a lot of iron and vitamin A. But if you are trying to cut or you're also trying to lose weight, then lean protein like fish, specifically white fish and chicken is good.
Wow.
How do you feel about
fish?
You don't like fish?
No,
How do you, Adam? There's a lot of different fish. Like,
right?
They're not all fish are created the same.
Right.
That's true. How do you feel about the kettlebells versus barbells?
Kettlebells are really good for working out support group muscles because you're going to have a lot more stability when you lift them, just because of the way the balance works.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just starting out, though, if you want to get your form down, I would work with barbells or Smith's machines, just so you can kind of get because your form is super important. So you want to get that down before going heavy.
Okay, makes sense. Van Coding Coddling for $5 says, I voted in person in Seattle and they wouldn't take or even look at my ID despite needing to register same day. That's insane. Okay.
All these blue states.
I know.
They're like, let's run up the numbers.
Tobin Russell for $10 says, Grover Cleveland BTFO'd. RFK made third parties a joke. That's true. Sodos for $5 says, nah, sorry, J-Mac, but you're wrong on Oliver. The issue was the LP leaders were blatant about wanting Trump, and so they deliberately sabotaged him.
Libertarian Party leaders.
Oh, yeah, I was so confused with what he was talking about.
Yeah, I saw that. I kind of addressed it in chat. I can see what he's trying to say, but I just think that there's a lot of unfortunate cultural signifiers that people associate with either the Democrats or the right. And so whenever a candidate kind of showcases those, they're going to get immediately put into that camp. And so I know Oliver had a lot of early on when he was announced as the libertarian candidate, he had a lot of stuff with like the LGBT movements and pride parades. And that in current day has been heavily associated, the imagery specifically, with the like far left. So if you pose with like a progress flag, you're immediately going to think of like childhood transitioning or, genderqueer in schools and that kind of stuff. And a lot of libertarians, especially the ones that lean right, they're very, very against that. So that's just my take.
Scott Crosby for $10 says Florida's problem was localized to Broward County from 2000 to 2012. They went through it with several election officials who were constantly being investigated and resigning. Ooh, I don't know about that. And Scott Crosby for another $10 says, also, today's my anniversary for my cancer diagnosis. Happy to report I'm in remission and back to work and can donate again. S-Class is a best class.
That's great news. Awesome.
Yeah, that's a great feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's so good to hear. So happy for you, Scott. That's wonderful.
Good to hear.
Tubby for $5 says Destiny unironically helped Trump get reelected. I mean, it's a funny meme. I don't think so.
No, it's 100% true.
So? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Destiny badgering people all over the internet? Come on. Of course. The backlash.
Mr. Dolphin for 30 months says, we're gonna be all right. Happy face. That's true. We are.
Yes.
Real Wholesale for $10 says, just heard two women talking about how terrible it would be if a woman was running the country and how scared they were that their children would get drafted as Harris won. Gotta love it. That's funny.
Wow.
That's funny. Lives in Deswall specifically for $2 says, start a poll on the feet/dress issue. Maybe next time.
Right.
Which one's more degenerate? Adam Unfriended for $5 says, day 6 of No Nut November. I've unlocked super hearing and mind reading powers. If this keeps up, I might just become a real wizard by the end.
Or end up with testicular cancer. It's hard to say.
Prostate cancer. Make sure you get your prostate checked periodically.
Right.
Maybe you'll get both.
VT... yeah, exactly. Floki VT for $20. Thank you, Floki. Floki was giving a shit ton yesterday. Says, irony, if the interstate compact D states are pushing hard ratified, then Trump would have California, Oregon, Washington, New York, Minnesota, Connecticut.
Yeah.
What is DC?
They're going to think twice about that because that is going to get them up against a wall, right? Every single Republican that wins a mandate is going to get, or who wins the popular vote is going to get a mandate.
Right. DC doesn't have a vote, right? You don't mean Washington, DC? I don't know.
DC has a vote. What are you talking about?
They
District of Columbia?
Of course.
They have like one electoral vote or something?
They might even have two.
Oh. And more. All Democratic strongholds Trump would sweep. Kamala would have had one. Imagine with Nebraska. Yeah, interesting. I know what DC is like. DC, I just didn't think DC got an electoral vote, so I didn't know what state you were talking about.
Yeah, DC Comics.
DC Comics. Yeah, everyone knows DC Comics has a big electoral vote here. Salty Trisket for $5 says, not sure whose idea it was to put the guy who ran Twitter into the ground in charge of the federal budget, but I guess we'll see what happens. It'll be fun. Okay.
I will say, like, I've kind of heard the arguments with all that. I mean, there is and of course, Elon didn't do himself any favors, but there has been a concerted effort of like the advertisers being pulled and threatened and all that. And, we saw a lot with YouTube, with the both adpocalypses. So I don't know how much of that you can put entirely on him, but
Christian Ball for Cheers says, does aristocracy know about your infidelity, Sitch? Never. Those Sammy G all the way, baby.
I'm going to send her a DM later today, though.
Oh my God, terrible. MAGA Man for $5 says, not to toot my own horn, but my Lord of the Rings super chat yesterday was totally fetch. It was pretty good. MAGA Man. Jonathan Halo Rings for $2 says, what's the holdup in Arizona? Yeah, Jay.
I don't know, man. My brother was texting me the same thing. He's like, what the hell is wrong with your state? And I was like, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man.
You got to hire
Trump wants
more
those.
illegal labor to count the boats faster.
Well, what I did, I sent him the sleepy Mexican meme from South Park. So it's like, look, man.
Okay.
That's Arizona right there, counting the votes.
Yeah. Fondue for $5 says, so the final verdict at my job is 100% for Trump. Bad news is one hobby chat was nuked over Trump winning and a ping in another for LGBT fears.
What?
Okay. Angry Bellsprout for $2 says, Sitch is just sore from his last pegging. Terrible. Fake
That
news.
is terrible.
Disgusting. Leave me out of your fantasies, Angry Bells Pro. Zaniga for $10 says, I'm in a blue state and a teacher. It was a nuclear meltdown from Hitler fascism to I don't care if you're too poor for groceries. The uneducated vote always wins and adults crying during the pledge. Wow.
Really? Wow.
Interesting. It's pretty crazy.
The pledge?
Right. Officer J for $10 says, is it reasonable to be worried for our democracy under another Trump term, considering his authoritarianism prior to 2025, a GOP Congress, and the SCOTUS ruling regarding presidential immunity? I think it is reasonable to worry what will happen. I have no fucking clue what will happen. I don't think it's going to be like people going into camps or some crazy like scenario of Trump doing political assassinations or anything like that. But I think it's more likely that you'll just see a lot of potential institutional decline further and further down the pathway. And who knows? Maybe that will lead to a rebirth, the Phoenix rebirth of our government institutions to get rid of all the wokeness and then build something better.
Trump is going to go after his political adversaries if they start attacking him. I think he's high enough off of the election to let bygones be bygones. But the problem is this fascist narrative is going to continue and Democrats are going to continue to go after him. And as soon as they start going after him and he perceives Russiagate 2.0 developing, he is going to go after. He's going to be like gloves off, completely.
Well, yeah,
go after
because
him.
his first term, I mean, he did not try. I mean, there was a little bit of that against Hillary in the early days, but it got dropped pretty quick. And majority of supporters of his, especially like even his ultra base, were like they were fine with it. I think if Trump did decide to go down the unity path, you might get some grumbling or people in the back seats saying something, but ultimately, I think people would go along with it. It's just going to depend on the environment going forward like you said, Adam, from both the left and right and the media specifically.
Sitch, do you believe any of that?
Well, we might be able, I think we're going to get a better read on what that's going to look like when we start to see who's going to be Trump's cabinet. Because if he's just picking Elon Musk and Tulsi and RFK and there's a bunch of other business leadery people that were supposedly rumored that Trump would pick if he won. If he's picking just business people and kind of bog standard Republicans, then I'd be more leaning in your direction as to, he's not going to draw first blood. But if suddenly you start to see he has the Steve Bannon types of the world in his cabinet, then I'm like, okay, then that's not the case. Then he's going in there looking for a fight. So.
That's a bad sign of the trajectory or his goals.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it will depend on who he starts to offer up for attorney general too. That should be a good sign of what the thought process is.
Maybe
Didn't
Barr will make an
Steve Bannon
appearance.
just get out of jail? Why is Steve Bannon going to be involved?
No, he's saying
no. I
people
said
like
Steve
him.
Bannon types.
Right.
Like someone who would be that person. Because remember, this was in McMaster, but McMaster would always talk about how Steve Bannon was worm.
No, I do remember, but
yeah,
Steve
Trump's
Bannon is
ear to get him all crazy about going after the media and Democrats and stuff.
Right.
So.
Yeah, if you're nervous about stuff, just maintain vigilance, but don't go crazy and don't get in the bomb shelter just yet. It'll be okay.
Not just yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
DJ Judd for $5 says, I picked up the comic as a little victory celebration. I'll both of you keep up the good work. Well, thank you, DJ.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Appreciate it. Dr. Diller for $5 says, Adam's DMs are not empty. He's received daily messages from me questioning him on the location of his buried treasure. No leads yet, but soon.
Adam's buried his pirate booty.
That's true.
That's right.
Tom waiting for $5 says, during the Free Press live stream of the election, the chat was mad thirsting for the ladies from the Red Scare podcast.
Were they?
Hilarious. Yeah, I'm curious to see Anna on both the Daily Wire and the Free Press to see what that conversation was like.
She was great.
Go the MIG for 27 months or go HEMAG for 27 months. Thank you. Says the meltdown is crazy where I am. There's multiple events going on Saturday for emergency marriages and stuff about no questioning asked hysterectomies. Jesus Christ.
Oh my gosh. That's such a depressing thing when you see all this crap about people's relationships. I don't know, man. You really should figure that kind of thing out before you marry someone.
Right.
Oh my God.
Liz and Deswalt specifically for $5 says, would the wooing of Sammy G be more or less successful if Adam had suddenly appeared in the doorway and whispered Mensa and then left abruptly?
Faded
I
into the
mean,
darkness.
It all worked out. That's a good reference. Thank you.
That is a great reference.
That's a good reference. Listen, it all worked out, so I guess I didn't need it, right? I think that would have been off-putting to Sammy, honestly. So
Wouldn't work on her.
I don't think I would work on her now.
This is
Salford Yard-
bizarre. Like, I'm looking at
What?
pictures of the Red Scare podcast girls, and that's like a strange thing to thirst after, I think. But
How's her limbo game? Is it not on point?
let me see. I didn't really notice the limbo rings, but here, I'll send you a picture. I'll send you guys a picture and you can weigh in. Anyway, super chats.
Yeah. There was. So for $2 says, what are your thoughts on Breonna Taylor's cop being found guilty? Also, Adam was defeated. This and Prop 36 passing means LA could be cleaned up in time for the Olympics.
Yeah, they are increasing the drug and gang charges, reversing what they had done before. So, and I think Gascon got kicked to the curb.
Oh,
So,
Gascon.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes
He's
sense.
a DA.
The
Soros-backed DA.
I didn't know that the Breonna Taylor cop was found guilty. Which one? Because I think, I don't know all the facts of the case. The guy who shot through the window, I don't know if he was the one, but I mean, that sound like, didn't a cop shoot through the walls into someone else's apartment or some crazy shit like that? I mean, that definitely seems like they should be guilty for something. I don't know if they actually shot and killed her, but
Is that the one with the boyfriend fired because they were
sleeping? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, I don't know enough about the specific case to have a hyper intelligent take on it or anything. Anyway, I see that Crystal Ball, Cenk Uygur, the crazy guy from PBD podcast, and Dan Crenshaw were all on Pierce Morgan. So
Wow, we've got something new to watch.
Yes. So I don't know. Maybe we'll watch that, see how that is. But anyway, thank you guys all for coming today.
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming last night. It was fantastic. Thank you guys so incredibly generously donating last night and today. Thank you so much. And of course, thank you, our surrogate father, J-Mac, for joining us both nights.
Yes, and we're going to stream tomorrow, right?
Yes, and we will be seeing you guys tomorrow. Take care.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Though I don't think I can end the stream because my browser crashed. So
Did it?
it's up to you, Adam.
I can do it.
Okay.
There we go. Bye, everyone.
Don't say the N-word.